Hello. Okay. Making sure everything's working. Ha 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 ha. ha. I've been up since like 8:30. It's now 10:30. I planned on starting to stream really fast. And here's how I know I planned on streaming earlier. I always open my video for my stream before I get on because it sometimes crashes, so that way I can try and get all the crashes out before I play. And it has been on for an hour and 23 minutes. Because I started doing laundry, and then I was like, oh, you know what? Let's fix my chair because my chair is backwards. The base was on backwards, and then I couldn't find the stuff to flip it. I didn't want to bug my sister. She's at work, but I finally called her and was like, hey, do you know where the stuff is? And she's like, I gave it to you. And I was like, damn. Now I got to figure out where I put it. And I did. So I'm very happy to say I've fixed this. We are better now. The world makes sense yet again. But for just a split second there, everything was a nightmare. And then I finally got the equipment, and it took me way longer than I thought it was going to flip this around, because once I took the bottom off and flipped it, it didn't line up perfectly anymore on the ground. So I literally lifted the chair up. This is probably the incorrect way of doing this, by the way. Don't follow me. So I had to lift the chair up and basically sit it on the base and then try to line it up underneath. Ha 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 ha. And that took way longer than I thought it would. And I was already dressed and ready to stream at that point. And then because I've been crawling on the ground, my stockings were dirty. So I had to take those off because the ground is dirty. I have a dog. Everything gets dirty around here. So yeah, that's my whole story. That's my life right now. It's been a day already. We are going to be picking back up in Winter's Wish. I was hoping to get onto a route before we even played today, but on Saturday, my eye would not stop watering, and I was losing my mind. So, and then I saw the VOD, and my eyes were so puffy. I really don't know what was going on with me that morning, but it was not good. So maybe next time I won't stream straight away. I'll give myself about 30-40 minutes before I even start. I did it today. So hopefully we can get onto the route we want to get onto. We're going for, it starts with the G. Something. And then as long as we get on that route, we're going to be good. And then tomorrow we can continue it. I have slowly made it to where I have 2 days off, like Tuesday and Thursday typically. That doesn't always stay consistently because it's retail. Retail's a nightmare. But I usually have those 2 days off, and then I started scheduling myself to close on Wednesdays so that I can stream in the morning before I go to work. So that gives me more opportunities to stream then. And then Friday nights, I will probably be streaming because my sister plays D&D. And if I'm not streaming, I'm just sitting on the couch anyways, watching Bob's Burgers. So might as well make an adventure out of it. All right, we arrived at the dojo in Castletown. Normally, there would be other people to train. Luckily, we were the only ones here today. Oops, I just minimized OBS. That was not what I meant to do. OBS and the stream, not the stream, my Elgato camera is very similar. It's both like a black circle with just symbols in the middle of it. I also was sadly reminded that I have a Discord and I wasn't using it. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha, which I thought was kind of funny. Because my friends, I was like, hey, do you guys want to play Lethal Company on Thursday? To a couple of people, and one was like, oh, are you playing with us tomorrow? And I was like, oh no, I saw your schedule, and I was like, I'm working during that time. They're like, oh, why didn't you say anything on the Discord? I'm like, because I forgot I have a Discord. Because I don't use it very often. I've only ever used it to chat with people if they've said, hey, do you have Discord? Like, I don't open it up very often. So I forgot I had Discord, and apparently they did a survey, and I was not present for the survey to say I'm working on Wednesday night, so I can't play. But yeah, I just remembered how to Discord again, so that's... I have to be better. I don't know. I have to be better at remembering things. I do need to use it more. I need to remember to use it. Ha 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 ha. I'll get there someday. It's a process with me. I forget to use Twitter. I forget to use da-da-da. I'm just a text message kind of person, and I don't know everybody's phone numbers. All right, normally there'd be other people here to train. Luckily, we were the only ones here today.
じゃあ、まずは体を慣らすための運動ね。
Yeah, I totally forgot. Yoichi's trying to teach me to be more self-sufficient in battles. And he does hand-to-hand combat because he's not a samurai, so he's not allowed to have a weapon on him. So he's here to teach me hand-to-hand combat. All right, let's start with a warm-up. All right, I just have to copy what you're doing.
そういうこと。
That's right. We started to warm up while facing each other. I stretched the muscles in my legs and tried some calisthenics. I don't know what that was. Calisthenics? Yeah, I think I said it right. For the time being, I copied Yoichi's movements exactly. We'll probably be doing some harder exercises, so I should make sure to really stretch everything out. In any case, I glanced over at Yoichi, who was doing his own warm-up exercises across from me, and observed him. His hips joints appeared flexible, and even when he opened up his legs, he could press his upper body against the ground. Of course, his expression was one of complete ease. Yoichi is so flexible, there's absolutely no way I could do that.
あんた俺のこと見すぎ。
It's a reminder that I should do more exercising. Gosh, you're staring at me again. I'm supposed to stare at you. What the heck? I'm learning. Sorry.
まあ、別にいいけど。で、何か用？
If you don't care, why did you comment on it? I don't really care. What do you want? It's not as if I wanted anything. He'd be annoyed if I said something like, I was impressed by the way you move. I could see it from a mile away. Oh, I know. Since we're here, I'll take this chance to ask what I want. Now that he was going to be my teacher, he'd definitely answer without hesitation. There's something I wanted to ask.
何？
Okay, what? If there's some sort of mental preparation you need to learn martial arts, could you teach me? I really have no knowledge of any of this. This might have just been an assumption, but to learn martial arts effectively, I felt that it was necessary to discipline myself mentally too. In order to do that, I wanted him to teach me starting with the basics.
そんなもの
However,
ないけど。
there's nothing like that. Wait, there
だ
isn't?
ってそんなの頭に叩き込んだところで死ぬときは死ぬじゃん。
Well, even if you drill that stuff in your head, when you're gonna die, you're gonna die. That may be true. I thought I'd build up my mentality before building up my body, but it seemed that was a misunderstanding on my part. My suggestion was turned down so flatly I felt a bit
あ
sad.
のさ、そういう顔やめてくれる？こっちが悪いことしてるみたいじゃん。
Oh, Yoichi. Look, can you stop with that face? You're making it seem like I did something bad. Sorry, I just...
でも、強いて言うなら、
If I had to say something... Yoichi looked off into the distance as if thinking about something. Perhaps I'd be able to get my answer. As I'd been turned down once already, the anticipation made my heart
君
beat
子危
faster.
うきに近寄らずかな。
I'd say a wise man never courts danger. At the answer I finally received, I thought, all right, I have to remember whose route I am on. I'm doing both routes at the same time. To phrase this right, I'm doing the pre-routes to get to their routes at the same time. That way I don't have to go back and get into Yuichi's route. I can just start his route after I'm done with the other route. But because of that, I have to remind myself whose route I'm currently on. All right, I'm currently on Yuichi's route. But we're going to save in this third slot. And the bottom one is Yoichi. The top one is the other person whose name I can't think of right now. I guess I could have read it when I was checking. Isn't that a contradiction? He liked that. Okay, cool. Okay, so then we're going to save here. This is complicated, but just follow me. I make perfect sense. All right. Isn't that a contradiction? Upon hearing the complete opposite of what I expected, I accidentally voiced my true feelings.
は？どこが？
How so? Because the Blightfall are enemies we have to get rid of, right? So what do you mean by not courting danger? Wait, for starters, are Blightfall even the danger? Is there some hidden meaning in this? Oh, maybe this is a riddle. As I asked the questions as they came to me, Yoichi let out a forceful breath of air. Did he just laugh? Did you laugh?
笑ってないし。
I didn't laugh. But you did.
笑ってない。
No, I didn't. Then why did you breathe out like that,
あ
huh?
んたが変なこと言うから。
Because you're saying weird stuff again. Oh man, this guy who pretends he doesn't like me. So you did laugh.
気のせいでしょ。
You're just imagining things. Oh man. I am not imagining things. What a surprise. So he is capable of showing emotion. Despite the fact that his heart was sealed away, it seemed that he couldn't lock away reflexes. I couldn't help but feel excited at seeing this new side of Yoichi. Alright, we're gonna save there one more time. Usually the black fade to black means I've reached the end of that moment. So we're going to save again. Because if you don't save, it doesn't register that you've done all that. And then we're gonna load his. And now we're on Genjiro. Did I just remember his name? Did I do that? Yes. Skip to the next thing we haven't read. I do find doing this interesting because last time I got like a scene I hadn't even seen before. Really? Could you tell me what you mean? I thought that I should hear his reasoning first, so I chose to ask him again. No matter how free-spirited Yoichi was, I couldn't imagine him teaching me something
ヒッ
meaningless.
プの言うって言葉があるでしょ。その意味は知ってる？
There's something called being... God, why would you do this to me? Temarius? Temarius. We're gonna go with Temarius. It's like being Tia and Tamara, but it's like Temarius. Do you know what that means? Why would you repeat that word in your head? I feel like Father might have mentioned it before. I mean, it's when you don't think things through and just simply charge forward, right?
そう、そんな感じ。
Right, something like that.
つまり、自分の力を過信していると、敵を深追いしたりして、無駄な怪我をすることが多いわけ。
In other words, if you're overconfident in your own power, you'll chase enemies too far and get injured for no reason.
昔から戦場なんかで早死にするのは、そういうイノシシ武者みたいなやつだったらしいし。
I hear that those who die early on the battlefield are usually samurai who act
だから、
rashly.
戦いで生き残るためには、頭を使わなきゃならない。
So in order to survive in battle, you have to use your
良い
head.
かは仕留めなきゃならない敵だけど、確実に倒せない状況ならいくら立ち向かっても無駄じゃん。
Lightfall are enemy we need to kill, but if you're in a situation where you can't defeat them, no amount of fighting is going to change that.
そういう場合は逆に守るべきものを危険から遠ざける方が利口ってわけ。
In those situations, it's smarter to take what you must protect away from danger
だ
instead.
から君子危うきに近寄らず。
Therefore, a wise man never courts danger. Yoichi's explanation was satisfying and easy to understand. I suspect he has had his own way of thinking, but I never thought that his reasoning was so solid. Thank you, Yoichi. I really learned a lot.
そりゃどうも。
Yeah, no problem. Yoichi let out a huff like he was a little pleased. Just a little, though. Not too much.
じゃ、体も温まってきたところだし、面倒だけどそろそろ始めようか。
Now then, since we're all warmed up, it's a pain in the ass, but it's about time we start. Yes, thank you in advance. Due to the warm-up exercise, I was feeling toasty. My head also felt nice and clear. In this condition, I would be able to perform any movement asked of me. Alright, from here, I really have to get my head in the game. I clenched my fist to pump myself up further, and then...
ああ、それいらないから。
We don't need that? What do you mean
そ
that?
の、体に入っている無駄な力のこと。
That useless tension in your body.
これから俺が教え
I
る
feel
武
very
術は、全部相手の力を利用して技を繰り出すものなんだ。
The martial arts I'm about to teach you is all about using your opponent's own strength against them in order to perform movements.
だから、 余計な力が入っていると間違いなく失敗するよ。
So if you tense up too much, you're definitely going to fail. Really? Then what should
俺み
I
たいに立ってみて。
stand like me? That was when, for the first time, I paid attention to how Yuichi was standing. In contrast to how my entire body was tensed up, Yoichi had a more natural stance. At a quick glance, one could even make the mistake of thinking he had no motivations. I get it now. There's an actual reason why Yuichi stands the way he does. But when you think about it, it's pretty hard to relax like that. Tell me about it. I can't relax even when I try. Should I do it like that? Like I'm taking a hot soak in a bath or when I'm sleeping? I try to remember times when I was completely relaxed and I slightly shifted the way I was standing. How's
へ
this?
え、いいんじゃない？
Not bad. I tried mimicking the way Yoichi did it, and Yoichi readily approved.
さて、まずは簡単な説明からするけど、
First, I'm going to give a quick
あんたはあ
explanation.
まり力がないし、まずは戦うんじゃなくて、逃げることから考えた方がいいと思うんだよね。
Since you're not that strong, I think you should consider running rather than fighting to start. Does running require some technique as well?
そう。だって素人だと敵から捕捉されたらどうしようもないでしょ。
Think about it. If you're an amateur, there's nothing you can do if you're captured by an enemy,
だ
right?
から敵の攻撃を避ける方法から教える。戦うのはその後。
I'll start by teaching you how to avoid an enemy's attack. Fighting will come after that. He was right. Even if I learned offense, I didn't think I'd be able to fight well. Completely requiring my fear. Completely conquering my fear was out of the question, and if I forced myself to try and fight, I'd probably be killed instead.
と言っても、ただ組手とかやっても意味ないだろうから、実践に例えて教えるね。
That said, just sparring would be pointless, so I'll teach you by comparing it to real
例えば
combat.
良いかの場合、触手で殴打してくることが多いんだけど、
For
あの
example,
攻撃を避けるためにはどうすればいいのか。
fighting
わかる？
against Blightfall, they often strike with their tentacles. What should you do to avoid that attack? The sudden question made me think for a moment. In this case, the Blightfall isn't a special one like the Kami Kira, and more like the one that appeared in my village. So then, watch the tentacles
正解。
movements.
じゃあ具体的に触手のどこを見るべきだと思う？
I would say probably like the shoulders, right? That's where the movement's gonna. You're gonna. I don't know. Do they have shoulders? Wait, they've only shown one Blightfall actually. Anytime these monsters appear, they're just like fake silhouettes or smoke. That's right. Then to be more precise, which part of the tentacle do you think you should look at? Another unexpected question. I took even longer to think of an answer. Even if he asked for a part of a tentacle, the only answer are the tips, the base, or the middle, right? I'll just guess then that the tip.
半分正解、半分外れ。
Half right, half wrong. What do you mean?
敵の動きをちゃんと目視できる人なら、先端を見るだけで確実に避けられると思う。
Where's my mouse? Okay. If someone who can properly keep track of an enemy movement... If it's someone who can properly keep track of the enemy's movement, they could definitely dodge a hit just by watching the tip.
ただ、触手の先って遠心力がかかっているせいで、動きがものすごく速くなるんだ。
But the thing about the tip of a tentacle is the centrifugal force can make it move incredibly fast like a whip.
キコとか人間なら三重たちくらいの手だれじゃないと見切るのは難しい。あんたの場合は特にね。
Unless you're a vessel, if you're a human as experienced as Mitsugi, it's hard to keep up in your case especially. You have a point? Surely an amateur like myself would be blown away while trying to follow the enemy's movement.
だからあんたは逆に触手の根元を見るといい。人間に例えるなら
Upper arm, like shoulder. Did I do it? Did I do it? That's why you should look at the base of the tentacle instead. In human terms, it'd be like the upper arm, I
多
guess.
少ブレや反動こそあるものの、先端とつながっている箇所だから方向自体は確実にわかるでしょ。
The Though there might be some deviation or recoil, it's always connected to the tip, so you should be able to tell what direction it's going
そこを見
in.
てどこから攻撃が飛んでくるのか判断するんだ。
Using that, you need to judge where the next attack will come
それか
from.
ら避けるときは相手の攻撃が飛んでくる方向と同じ方向に転がるといいと思う。
And when you dodge, you should roll in the same direction as the enemy's
そうする
attack.
と相手の力がうまい具合に分散して。
If you do that, you can easily disperse the enemy's strength. Though Yuichi meticulously explained everything to me, I couldn't understand him at all. It was like I couldn't understand the words themselves. It was more like I couldn't understand the action.
実際にやった方がいいか。
Maybe it'd be better to actually try it out. Right. Right, because then I can actually see it. I'm a visual learner. Yoichi sounded fed up, but I nodded fiercely like I was jumping at the chance. This poor girl's like, I'll do anything, please. From there, I was thrown into a training
行く
session.
よ。
Ready? What?
ああ、そうじゃない。俺の腕を見て。この辺り。
That's not what I meant. I mean, look at my arm over here. Alright, let's do it again.
了解。ほら、そこ。
Roger, see right there?
全然ダメ。どんどん行くよ。
Unacceptable. We're gonna keep at it. Okay, I think I've said this many a times. I don't like physical violence against the protagonist. This is an exception because it's training. Each time Yuichi attacked me, I would move around clumsily. Sometimes I fell because I couldn't read his movement. Other times I would bear the brunt of the attack directly from the front. Once again, I fell to the floor at the dojo. To be frank, it hurt. He was probably going easy on me, but my completely untrained body was at its limits just from a few hits. When I looked, there were already a few bruises forming.
そろそろやめとく。
Aww. Wanna call it quits? Yoichi looked down at me from directly above where I was collapsed on the ground. His expression was surprisingly cold. It was as if he didn't think anything of me. His expression harbored nothing but emptiness. Does he not expect anything from me? From Yuichi's point of view, he might be seeing this as a formality. To him, this has no meaning or something like that. Then again, maybe that was just my victim complex talking. It was only spoken with people whose emotions I could read through their threads, so this was the first time I had to imagine how someone felt. Still, there was no mistake. Yoichi's frigid expression had fueled the will to fight in my heart. No, not at all. I'm nearly getting the hang of it. So bear with me. When I leapt up to my feet, Yuichi blinked in the slight surprise.
しぶといね。
Persistent. Well, since you're going out of your way to teach me, I want to do it right.
まあ、あんたがそのつもりなら、俺は別にいいけど。
If that's what you want, then I'm fine with that. Thank you. Alright then, let's continue training. Sounds aggressive. After that, Yoichi continued training me until I was satisfied. Thanks to that, I was also more determined to work harder on my missions for the Oniwaban. But sometimes reality doesn't always work the way we want it to. According to Kyugo's report, no one went to sell hair at the wig shop more than once. We did look into everyone who went to sell hair, but it had been a futile, fruitless endeavor. So did that mean that Kamakiri just enjoyed stirring up the masses? Or did they harbor some unusual grudge towards women? Like maybe they had to watch their master get her hair cut, and now she is upset and wanting everyone to look the same way. No matter what the reason, the incidents were feeling more and more macabre and sent shivers down my spine. What the heck was that? We raced through Castletown day and night, searching for Kamakiri's true identity. I continued to patrol the Castletown following Kyuga's lead. Meanwhile, Yoichi returned to his normal job and tried to gather intel from his workplace. But 7 days had passed without another appearance of Kamakiri. let alone the discovery of any new
じゃ、
information.
いつも通り行くよ。
Alright, I'll come at you like usual. Right. And during that time, Yoichi helped me train every day. Today, our schedules happened to match up, so I had Kyuga and Komame come as well. Having visitors is nerve-wracking. I have to make sure I don't mess up. Perfectionist at its finest. Initially, my training had moved forward since then. Now I was also learning offense. Because I don't have any muscles, I was apparently more suited to techniques using the hardness of my knees and elbows rather than the punches and palm strikes. And so now we were focusing on learning elbow strikes and knee kick katas.
どんなことになるかと思っていたが、お前はなかなか筋がいいな。
I was wondering how it would turn out, but you have quite a knack for this, Leah. Really? I didn't expect that he would praise me, so I accidentally stopped in the middle of practice.
別に普通だと思うけど。
She's nothing special. Be nice to me, Yuichi.
聞こうからしたらそうだろう。だが、まだ習って7日程度の人間にしてはいい方なのだ。
Hugo's over here patting my head, taking care of me. That might be the case for a vessel's point of view, but for a human who just started learning 7 days ago, I think she's doing quite well.
もし彼女が最前線へ出られるようになれば、こちらとしては助かる。戦力は大いに越したことはない。
If she becomes capable of fighting on the front lines, that would be beneficial to us. We could always use another fighter.
何言ってんの。こんなの実戦じゃまだまだ使えないよ。
What are you talking about? She can't use any of this in a real fight yet.
実戦で使うなら、もう少し別の。
He's muttering to himself. Ooh, Yoichi. Pop off, tell me. If she's going to use anything in real life, it would have to be a different... Yoichi muttered something to himself and then became lost in thought. That's true. It might be fine now because we're practicing, but I'm not sure if I'd be able to do this in front of a Blightfall. Cheap. Sorry, Komame. When we finish this training, let's go for a walk together.
こんにちは。皆さんお元気かしら？
Hello! How's everyone doing? At that moment, a young lady entered while holding something small and wrapped in cloth, and for some reason I called her a young lady instead of Mimi. Everyone's gaze turned to stare at the sudden intruder. Mimi, what are you doing
あ
here?
なたがここで稽古してるって聞いたから、お使いついでに遊びに来ちゃった。お邪魔だったかしら？
I heard you were training here, so I came to hang out on my way to run some errands. Am I bothering you?
別に構わないよ。
No, it's fine.
ああ、ゆっくりしていくといい。
Yes, spend as much time here as you please.
ちゃ
Cheap! Oh my gosh, look, Komame. That's probably better for accurate size comparison.
ーみんなありがと
Thank you, everyone.
う。ちなみに、このスズメちゃんは？この間はいなかったわよね。
By the way, who's this little sparrow? She wasn't around the other day, was she? Mimi gazed with great interest at Komame, who was perched next to Kyuga. Normally, I'd leave Komame at home during training. This might have actually been the first time Mimi was meeting her. Oh, her name's Komame. It's a long story, but I became her
わ
owner.
け？どんな？
Long story, what happened? Komame wasn't getting along with her former owner. Something like that.
あらあら、なんだか複雑ね。
It's not that complicated. It's
よろしくね。
not even complicated at
こまめ
all.
ちゃん。
My, that does sound complicated. Nice to meet you, Komame. Chirp! Phew. Seems that Komame likes Mimi. I guess that's the only person Komame doesn't like is Tojo.
でも、どうして急に武術のお稽古なんてし始めたの？お仕事もまだ決まってないのよね。
Mimi, you asked too many questions. Why are you suddenly starting up martial arts training? You haven't even decided on a job yet, right? Well, now that she mentioned it, she's right. How should I answer?
仕事で必要だから教えてるんだよ。柳屋の奉公人はある程度護身術を覚えてた方がいいから。
I'm teaching her because it's necessary for work. Servants of Yanagi's brewery should at least know some self-defense.
最近物騒だしね。最低限自分の身は自分で守れないとこっちも困るんだよ。
It's been dangerous lately. If she can't protect herself at the bare minimum, it'll be a headache for us
ね。
too.
そうでしょ。
Isn't that right? Yeah, that's right.
あら、そうなの。
My, is it? I didn't think that Yuichi would help me out like that. I nodded with all my might while desperately trying not to look suspicious.
一理あるわね。今のご時世、何が起こるかわからないもの。私も習っておいた方がいいのかしら。
That does make sense. There is no telling what will happen these days. Maybe I should learn too.
別に水茶屋なら問題ないんじゃない？うちは飲みどころもある酒屋だし。
I don't think you need to worry about the tea house. People tend to drink at our brewery, so.
ああ、そっか。そうよね。
Ah, yeah, you're right. Great, we managed to cover it up. Whew. Though it pained me to lie as a member in a secret mission, there was no way I was going to tell her the truth. In the other story, she actually was recruited to help, so it's kind of interesting that she wasn't recruited in this one. In that moment, we heard the call of a bird from somewhere. When I quickly looked in the direction of the sound, it was a huge eagle circling the air. It seemed that Komame was scared by the larger bird, as if she knows that large birds the size of eagles eat sparrows, as she fluffed up her feathers to look bigger. If I remember correctly, that eagle is Kyoshiro's? As I petted Komame to calm her down, Kyuga quietly stood up.
すまない、ミハルさん。少し席を外させてもらう。
Apologies, Maharu. I'm going to leave for a little bit.
ああ、俺も。
Me too. Yuichi also stood up and left in a hurry as if he was following
二
Kyuga.
人とも至ったわね。
Off the two of them go. Yeah, it's alright that I didn't go with them, is it? But if I went, then I'd be leaving Mimi alone, so this is alright, right? While I was trying to convince myself Mimi was staring off in the direction of the two had left, she was nodding to herself
久我
intently.
さんも余一も系統は違えど素敵な殿方よね。
Hyuga and Yoichi are both so dreamy, albeit in different ways. Huh. My mind stopped working at the sudden and unexpected thing it had just heard. I had no idea what to say back to her. I froze up and Mimi shot forward towards me.
あなたはそう思わない？実はあの二人、町娘の中でも結構人気なのよ。
Don't you think so? Those two are actually really popular with the girls in the city. Really?
そうよ。女の子たちがキャーキャー言っているような光景見たことない？
Haven't you ever seen the girls squealing and screaming over
あの
them?
二人に会うために城下町をうろうろしている子も結構いるみたいだし。
I've also heard there's quite a few girls who wander around Castletown just for a chance to see those two. Specifically those two. Huh, interesting. I've never really thought about things like that. Well, maybe I have, but I've been really focused on the case and improving myself. But now that I think about it, that lady at the tempura store was being nice to
あなた、
Yuichi.
そういうのはちょっと疎いものね。ちなみに、どっちの方が好みなの？
You're not really too familiar with things like this, are you? By the way, which one is your type? Type? What do you mean?
もちろん、色恋的な意味に決まってるじゃない。あれだけ素敵な
Mimi, you're too
殿方と
forward.
一緒にいるんだから、何か思うところがあるんじゃないかしら？
Romantically, of course. You're with those lovely men so often. Don't tell me you haven't thought about it before.
かたや、旗本の武士という好条件に加え、落ち着いた大人の魅力たっぷりな久我さん。
On one hand, there's Kyuga, a man with a calm and mature charm. He even holds a favorable position of retainer samurai to
か
boot.
たや、そっけないけどそこがまたいいって一部の人に大人気の余一。
On the other side, there's Yoichi, who holds a cold, indifferent, but popular with a certain crowd that loves that about him.
どっちも顔はいいし、捨てがたいわよね。
They're both so handsome, it's just so hard to choose.
ちゃんちゃん。
I know her choice. Cheap, cheap.
こまめちゃんは余一派なのね。どういうところが好きなのかしら。
It looks like Komame's team Yoichi. What about him do you like? Cheap. They're holding a conversation. I wasn't able to properly join in due to the unfamiliar topic. Also because I was still concerned with the eagle from earlier. When I first saw the eagle, it was carrying a letter, which really means that something happened over at the Oniwabon. Maybe someone with new information about the case of the Kamikiri came forward. There's also the possibility that it's a new victim.
ねえ、あなたはどう思う？
Hey Leah, what do you think? But as I thought about a bunch of things, it seems that I accidentally missed what Mimi was talking about. Huh? What? I asked her back while hurriedly making a smile. Mimi peered into my
どう
face.
したの？さっきからなんだかぼーっとしているみたいだけど。
What's wrong? You seemed a little out of it since earlier. Sorry, it's nothing. Sorry, I wasn't really listening to you.
でも
Being
その顔は
honest.
何でもなくはないわよね。
But that's not the face a person makes when there's really nothing.
何か気になることでもあるの？お仕
Is there
事探しの相談な
something
ら
you're worried about?
私でも乗ってあげられるけど。
If you want advice about looking for work, I can help you. No, that's not it. Truthfully, I was concerned about a lot of things, and I wanted to ask about more than just work, but I couldn't tell her that. If I discussed things with Mimi who was unrelated to everything, then I would undoubtedly be getting her involved in the case. And considering that Tomonari said before, simply knowing about the Oniwabon might be putting that person's life in danger. As I held out my silence, a rather lonely smile appeared on Mimi's face.
あなたも江戸に来たばかりだし、疲れているのかもしれないわね。
You just got to Edo. I'm sure you're just a little tired is all. I'm sorry, Mimi.
いいのよ、謝ったりしないで。
It's fine. Don't apologize.
それより、そういう時は気分転換するといいわよ。今日、江戸の海岸で26夜待ちがあるし、
If
行
you're
ってみ
feeling
たらどう
down,
かしら。
you should change things up a little. There's a 26th night jubilee happening in Edo Shore tonight. Why don't we go? A festival where people gather on the 7th month and 26th day of the ancient Japanese calendar, waiting for the moon to appear and enjoy food and drink. Legend says the divine deity, the Amida Kanan and Sheshi Buddhas, appear in the moonlight. So, this is the game's fault. When I looked up the characters list on their website, they show two gods, and I think that's their name. So am I actually going to meet these guys? That seems weird. 26th Night Jubilee? What is that?
そっか。故郷ではそういうのやってなかったものね。
Right, there weren't any back home.
26夜待ちっていうのはね、夜に月が出るのを待ちながら飲んだり食べたりして楽しむ納涼祭なのよ。
As a reminder, at night, women have been getting their hair sliced off. I don't know if anyone should be at a festival at night waiting for the moon to come out. The 26th Night Jubilee is a summer festival where you enjoy eating and drinking while you wait for the moon to come
本
out.
当はとっても大切な趣向があるお祭りらしいんだけど、
Apparently, it holds a very important meaning, but
私たち庶民としては夜中も堂々と遊べるのなら趣向なんて何でもいいって感じよね。
for us commoners, if it gives us an excuse to have a good time, even at night, your reason is as good as any.
そのお祭りに久我さんと余一を誘ってみるのはどうかしら。
Why not trying to ask Hyuga and Yoichi out to the festival? The two of them? Mimi, you aren't coming with me.
本当なら一緒に行ってあげたいんだけど、今日は方向先も書き入れ時だから難しいのよね。海岸沿いに店も出す予定だし。
I'd love to go with you, but it's going to be a really busy night at my workplace today. We plan on having a stall along the shore, too. Right, you work at a tea house. Mimi's show of concern made me really happy. And as I thought about the lonely smile I saw earlier, the obvious thing was to accept Mimi's suggestion. Personally, I was also curious just what kind of festival would take place in Edo. But will those two really come along with me to something like that? They're vessels, so they might not be interested in anything other than the mission.
それなら任せてちょうだい。私が説得してあげるわ。
If that's what you're worried about, leave it to me. I'll convince him. Huh?
すまない。今戻った。
Sorry, we just returned.
ああ、お腹空いてきた。
I'm so hungry. Perhaps they'd finished reading through the letter Kyuga and Yoichi had returned. Mimi stood in front of them with her hands on her hips.
ちょっとそこの二人少しお話ししたいことがあるんだけどいいかしら
You two, there's something I want to discuss with you. Are you busy?
いきなり何
What's with you?
急に席を外してしまったことか。それならすまなかった。少し確認しなくてはならないことがあって。
Is it because we left so suddenly? If that's the case, we're sorry. There was something we needed to check.
そうじゃなくて話したいのはこの子のことよ。お仕事探しとか手伝ってくれるのはありがたいけど、ちゃんと彼女のことを気遣ってあげてる？
Ooh, what? Not that. I wanted to talk about Leah. I'm grateful that you're helping her find work, but have you considered her feelings? Mimi. I was a little taken aback at her sudden straightforwardness, but Mimi gently smiled at me, full of confidence. Was that her way of telling me don't worry?
それは具体的にどういう意味だ？
What exactly do you mean?
だからたまには息抜きに連れて行ってあげてってことよ。
What I mean is that you should take her out sometimes to
江戸に
relax.
来たばかりなんだし、この子すっごく疲れていると思うの。気分転換も必要だわ。
She just came to Edo and I think she's really tired. She needs a change
こっ
of
ちも
pace.
一応できることはやってるけど、武術の稽古とか。
I mean, what we're doing. I mean, we're doing that, what we can to, like training her in martial arts.
武術の稽古は仕事のためって言っていたでしょ？
Didn't you just say that martial arts training was for work?
見て、この子の疲れ切った表情。きっとこのままじゃお仕事が見つかる前に倒れちゃうわ。
Just look at this poor child's exhausted face. If she goes on like this, she'll fall sick before she finds a job.
そうなの？
Really?
そうなのよ。
Really?
はあ
I can tell even without seeing their threads, Yoichi couldn't be bothered.
美春さんが言うことも一理あるのかもしれないな。
There might be some truth to what Miharu was saying.
本気？
You can't be serious.
言われてみれば、彼女は江戸へ来てから一日も休んでいない。
She hasn't rested
そ
a
れ
day
では
since
疲弊
coming
す
to
るのも
Edo.
当然のことだろ
That much is true. It's no wonder that she's
う。
fatigued.
それに私たちはそういった点には疎いからな。意見を言ってもらえるのは非常にありがたい。
We're not too familiar with matters like this. We're incredibly thankful that you've given us your opinion.
だが、美春さん、気を使えと言われても何をすればいいのだ。指摘が抽象的なので対応がわからない。
But Maharu, you say that we should consider her feelings. What exactly should we do? Your directions were abstract and I'm not sure how to follow through.
そんなの簡単よ。緊張しそうなことから少し離れてみたり、一緒に遊んでみたり。
I'm leaning my head back more. Whoa. I wish this could like magnetize to the back of the seat so that I could just move it back here when I'm not using it. That's simple. Take her away from things that'll stress her out for a little while. Maybe hang out with her.
確かにそれは気を休めるのに有効そうだな。
Does seem like an effective way to relax.
そうなると娯楽街だろうか。しかし女性が楽しめる場所となると。
In that case, should we go to the entertainment district? But if a woman wanted to enjoy herself...
何言ってるの？いい催しがあるじゃない。
What are you talking about? There's already a perfect event for that.
26夜待ちがあるでしょ？それに連れて行ってあげれば疲れなんてすぐに吹き飛ぶわよ。
Tonight's the 26th night. Jubilee, right? If you take her there, then her fatigue will go away. Hyuga and Kyoichi fell silent, their expressions unreadable. They didn't seem like they were going to speak, and my nervousness reached its peak in a strange way. Because I can't see their threads, I have no idea what they're thinking. They must be annoyed. Actually, wait, Eunice, are you paying attention still? I just remembered something. Oh, goodness. And I just remembered I needed to check it again. Bitter. is what happens when I see way too many things all the time. All right, let's see. Dun 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 dun. Where is it? Oh goodness, I'll never find it now. Oh god, how do I search on here again? Iron mouse. I don't know what it means, but I thought there was a merch drop happening. Unfortunately, I see nothing. Okay, anyways, I saw a post earlier saying Iron Mouse was coming to Razer, a kind of thing, so I assumed that meant there was going to be Iron Mouse merch just in case. Look how cute they are. Look at her. But I don't see anything on here yet. It just says welcome to the family. I assumed that's what it was going to be merch, but it's not. There's nothing posted about it yet. My sadness. Well, maybe next time. We'll see. We'll see. Sadly. All right. I got excited because I thought it was a drop happening soon, and I was like, oh, wait, I totally forgot to double check on that. You must think it's annoying. They'll most likely reject this. As I thought about the worst case scenario, let me remind myself. I'm pretty sure I'm on Kyuga's route, but again, I don't want to mess up because I'm doing these saves in such a weird way. Perfect. Kyuga is rising. As I thought about the worst case scenario, Kyuga slowly turned to face me.
そういうことなら責任を持って連れて行こ
In that case, I'll take you there myself.
さすが久我さん。話がわかるわね。
I knew I could count on you, Kyuga. You sure got
う。ヨイ
it.
チもそれでいいな。
Yoichi, you're sure with that?
上が認めてるならまあ
When we switch routes, I wonder if it'll be not Yoichi who says it. If the superiors agree, then well. Are you sure?
構わない。美晴さんの言っていた通り、たまには息抜きも必要だろう。お前も遠慮せずに楽しむといい。
Hyuga. Which reminds me, I put my hair in piggy tails because I didn't think a ponytail would. My hair is too thin to look as cool as his in a ponytail. Like Maharu says, it's important to take a break every once in a while. You should enjoy yourself without holding
よかっ
back.
たわね。
Isn't that great, Leah? Right. Thank you, Mimi. But why did they accept the suggestion so easily? I was definitely happy, but something didn't quite sit right with me. Maybe it's just to get her out. Like, you can cancel plans afterwards. Oh, look how cute. Look at the stones. Got, looks like sushi. Oh, we got those little wind chimes. Those are so cute. Looks like, no goodness, takoyaki. Looks like tempura. Oh, that makes sense. They were talking about tempura. Oh, and hairpins. Is someone gonna buy her a hairpin? And then several bells later, as they promised earlier, they took me to the 26th night jubilee. Wow, look, Yoichi! That person is performing on the drum while walking.
まあ祭りだし
It's a festival. There's someone drinking while walking. Kyuga, are you sure you don't want any?
任務中だからな。
I'm in the middle of a mission. Look over there! That person's wearing an octopus mask. Do they work for a store?
いや、ただの参加者だろう。ああいったものは毎回いる。
No, they're probably just festival goers. People like that are here every year. Wow, so everyone's working to make the festival exciting. Ito was already a place with a lot of people, but that was especially true on a day like today. I was anxious when I was decided that we would go, but now I couldn't help but feel excited just walking through the sea of people. Incidentally, we were now walking towards our end goal, the hill. This is the first time I've ever been to such an amazing festival. Really, thank you so much for taking me today. I also have to thank Mibi.
それなんだが、
Right about that.
実は上からも26夜待ちの見回りを命じられていてな。お前を連れてきたのはそのついでだ。
Talk about like ruining a moment. We were actually ordered to patrol the 26th Night Jubilee. We took you as an aside to the mission. Is that so? Which means the eagle that was carrying the message earlier.
そういうこと。
That's right. And here I thought they accepted the suggestion without making a fuss, so that's why. But then this is also a mission, right? I can't let my guard
いや、
down.
その必要はない。
No, there's no need for that.
そもそも26夜待ちは月待ち港の一つで、人々が集まって悪霊を追い払う行事だ。
Is that true though?
そのせいもあって、良いかも出現しにくくなっている。
The 26th Night Jubilee is one of the lunar festivals where people gather to chase away evil spirits. Because of that, it's hard for Blightfall to appear. Nighttime events where people gather a set number of days since the last new moon and wait for the moon to rise. The event's prime purpose is to drive out evil spirits. Prominent examples include the 13th, 15th, 26th Night Jubilee.
宮地殿もお前の息抜きになればと祭りの参加を勧めてくれた。だから好きなように楽しむといい。
Miyagi also suggested attending the festival in hopes it'll help you relax, so enjoy it as you wish. Thank you very much. All of the tension immediately left my body at those words. So I really can't enjoy myself today. I'm going to enjoy this to my heart's content for all the people who created this chance for me. For a while after, I enjoyed taking in the sights around me. There were people walking while playing the drums or dancing, so I had plenty of fun just by strolling around. There were a lot of stalls too, but I certainly didn't have the courage to wade through waves of people just to go to them. Plus, the hill is where the real festival begins. If I start buying things here, then I'll never get to the end goal. Huh? Then when I looked back, I finally noticed my mistake. To my surprise, the two that had been standing right next to me had disappeared. No way. Seems that I'd been separated from them while I was looking around. I focused my eyes in front of me and spotted what appeared to be Yoichi's head amidst the crowds of people. I have to hurry and catch up. If I get separated here, I'll definitely end up lost. But to my dismay, with this many people around, running wasn't an option. The more I tried to move forward, the more it felt like I was being buried by the crowd and pushed backwards. What should I do if I don't catch
おい、
up?
何をしている？
What are you doing? In that moment, someone immediately came and took me by the arm. It was Kyuga. I hadn't noticed because I was distracted, but he was apparently closer to me than I thought. Oh, thank goodness, he saved
い
me.
きなり変なところへ行こうとしていたが、何をしていた？
Seemed like you were going in a strange direction. What exactly were you doing? I'm sorry, I looked away for a second and the crowd swept me away.
仕方がないだろう。これだけの混雑だからな。
There's no helping that with a crowd this size. Hugo looked around our surroundings and sighed like he was troubled. When I glanced in front of me, there was no sight of Yoichi. Has Yoichi already gone ahead? I hope he hasn't gotten lost.
それはさすがに大丈夫だろう。余一も子供ではないのだから。
You won't have to worry about that. Yoichi's not a child. Yes, you're right. What? As he said those things, this time an old man came up from behind and cut in between me and
悪い
Kyuka.
ね、お嬢ちゃん。ちょいと先に行かせておくれ。
Sorry, miss. Let me move forward a little. Right, go
あ
ahead.
りがとうよ。
Thanks! I leaned to the side just a little, and the old man continued to weave through and disappear into the crowd. What a nimble person.
大丈夫だったか？
Are you alright? Yes. Finally, Kyugo once again made his way through the crowd and returned to my side. It seems that in the chaos, in this chaos, if we open up even a little bit of distance between each other, people would cut into that space. In that rate, if we're not careful, we'll get separated again.
何か手を打つ必要がありそうだな。
It seems that we need to take measures against that. After that, Kyuga stared off into the distance with a serious look on his face. Are we gonna get matching masks? Are we gonna be super cute? Oh, no, he's just gonna hold my hand. Okay, that works too. He's all like, I have a plan. And he just takes her by the hands. And then...
歩きづらくないか？
Is it easier to walk like this? Yes. Was she blushing already? Oh god, I've already forgotten. Am I gonna screenshot it twice? I don't know.
こちらでも探しておくが、Yoichiの姿が見えたら教えてくれ。
I'll also keep watch for him, but if you see Yoichi, tell me. His... Okay, so what the heck is in the foreground? It's supposed to be other kimonos. I'm gonna go with that. Is that balloons behind her? What is this? Right.
しかし今日はいくらなんでも人が多すぎるな。
Even so, there really are too many people here today. There sure are! To my surprise, I was holding hands while walking with Kyuga. Thanks to Kyuga leading the way and carving a path, I wasn't getting pushed around by the people like before. To safely proceed through the hustle and bustle, there was simply no better way to walk than this. Still, this is a little embarrassing in its own way. I mean, doesn't it look like we're dating? It's the logical solution, but is it normal for acquaintances to do this with each other?
足元に段差があるから気をつけろ。
Leah, there's a step ahead. Be careful. Thank you so much. Kyuga led me by the hand, supporting me. My heart skipped a beat once more at his trustworthiness. I wonder why my heart's been pounding nonstop for a while
し
now.
かし、女の手は本当に小さいな。
A woman's hand is such a small thing. Huh?
これでは刀もまともに握れないだろうに。
With hands like these, you probably can't even wield a sword properly. What use are you? Is that so? Hyuga looked down with interest and with his fingers interlocked with mine. Interlocked? Those are not interlocked. Rubbed my hand as if to check something. My nervousness was at its peak, and his action caused my mind to go blank even more. What is this? Hyuga is observing me again? Holding hands was one thing, but this is just too much for me to handle. What should I do? At this rate, my
どうし
heart...
た？
What's wrong? As I panicked, Hyuga suddenly peered into my eyes. When his face suddenly entered my field of vision, I almost jumped. Not to mention, he was quite handsome. He was quite a handsome man. He's too close. Nothing's wrong. In an instant, I averted my eyes from Hyuga. Of course, not only was it difficult to walk this, also felt anything but natural. However, I didn't have the capacity to worry about that right now. You can't
その様子で何でもないわけないだろ
you can't look like that and tell me
う。
nothing's
手にも
wrong.
汗をかいてきてないか？今日はそこまで暑くないはずだが。
And your hands are sweating. It shouldn't be that hot today. Do not tell a girl her hands are sweating when you're holding her hand. Sorry. So it's pretty gross, right? I'll just have to let go of your
いや、
hand.
その必要はない。それより、お前のことを聞いているのだが。
Oh my god. There's no need for that. More importantly, I was asking about you. Why
なぜこちらを見ない？
why aren't you looking at me? I was already in a complete panic. Though it was accidental, it was the first time in my life that I had been in a situation like this with the opposite sex. I no longer knew the right things to do. I felt like I was going to lose my insanity and do something even more disgraceful. If that's the alternative, I had no choice but to say my true feelings. I steeled my will to do so. I turned to face Kyuko once more. It's because I'm
何に対し
nervous.
てだ
About what? It's the first time walking with a man like this, and even though I know you don't mean anything by it, I can't help but overthink it. Because of that, I guess it might seem like I'm acting a little weird. So that's all.
なんだそんなことだったのか
Oh, so that's what it is. Gosh, so not normal looking guy. Though I explained partially, Kyuga shrugged his shoulders as if he was
てっ
disappointed.
きりこちらが何かしてしまったのかと思ったぞ美晴さんに気遣えと言われたばかりだしな
Oh man, Maharu really got in your head, huh? I was just under the impression that I did something wrong, especially since I'm literally kicking the desk, my bad. Especially since Maharu just told me to better consider your
もし
feelings.
私の行動が負担になっていたのならすまない
If my actions caused you undue stress, then I apologize. Oh no, I'm the one that should apologize. In contrast to my panic, Kyuga answered in a calm tone. It was a given, of course. At the end of the day, he thought absolutely nothing of me. At least she's honest, right? But thanks to that, I was starting to calm down a
なら
little.
でも話した方がいいか着物の裾でも掴んでもらえばはぐれることはないだろうし
Should I let go of your hand? If you hold the sleeve of my kimono as such, you shouldn't get separated too easily. Hearing what he said, I stared at our entwined hand. From Kyuga's perspective, he was holding my hand only because it was convenient. But for me, this was the first time touching someone like this, and it was a big step in a new direction. I like to stay like this.
そうかわかった
I see. All right. I requested with determination, and Kyuga quietly smiled. Did he, though? I don't see a smile. We continued to walk for a while, and slowly the crowd started to peter out. It must have been because people were going to the restaurants and shrines or boat to observe the moon.
ここまで来れば問題なさそうだな
Seems like there shouldn't be a problem from here on out. Thank you very much. Thanks to you, I didn't get lost.
うーん
As soon as we let go of each other's hands, I saw a familiar figure out of the corner of my eye. It was Yoichi. Yoichi, what are you?
いや一応待ってたんだけどそれより何手なんてつないで合いびきでもしてんの
I was waiting, but who cares about that? Why are you holding hands? Are you on a date or something? We're not on a date. It was just I almost got lost, so he was guiding me by the hand.
そうなの源十郎
Really, Genjiro?
あその通りだ
That is correct.
うーん
Hmm.
そういう余市はずっとここで待っていたのか
Were you waiting here the whole time,
い
Yoichi?
や一人で店とかいろいろ回ってた
No, I was looking around the stores and stuff. But you didn't seem to have snacks or anything.
そんなのこっちの勝手でしょ
So what? I can decide not to buy things. Yeah, you're right. Perhaps Yuichi didn't want to say any more than that as he turned his face away. But phew, thank goodness he didn't pry deeper. If he did, then I probably would have panicked even more than earlier. Even as we were talking, Kyuga took to the front as if he was leading us. When he did that, I could only see his back. It was like us holding hands only a moment ago was nothing more than a dream. It's strange. My hand that was holding Kyuga's feels a little cold. I wonder if this is what it means to connect with someone. Oh, that's cute. That was a cute sentence. Oh no. While keenly pondering over that, I looked around at my surrounding once more. There was a road with even more shops than the ones we were... There was a road with even more shops than the one we were walking on earlier. Each store was aggressively calling for
いらっ
customers.
しゃいいらっしゃいこの機会にかんざしの贈り物はどうだいいいもの揃ってるよ
Welcome, welcome. Why not take this chance to purchase a hairpin as a gift? We have a lot of good stock. A hairpin, huh? Oh, there they are. I thought so. There were ones decorated with elegant flowers as well as ones with beautiful, intricate glass ornaments. So pretty. I did like the one I have now, but a new one would be nice too.
何してるの？早く来なよ。
What are you doing? Hurry up and come over here. Right. But Yuichi called me over to interrupt my thoughts. In any case, I don't have the money to buy such a wonderful hairpin. I guess I'll save it for another occasion. Looks like Hyuga's gone quiet far ahead too. But strangely, Yuichi was still staring at the hairpin shop and didn't even try to walk away. What's wrong, Yuichi?
いや、なんでもない。それより適当に屋台で何か買ってこ。源十郎は場所取ってくれるってさ。
It's nothing. Let's just go buy whatever from a stall. Genjiro said he'll save us a spot. Alright. Suspicious. What a lovely view. After we brought some snacks that we could munch on easily, we finally arrived at the hill that was our destination. All around us, crowds of people were drinking and singing some way, and they waited for the moon to rise. We couldn't see from here, but it seemed that fireworks were also going off in the
ここ
distance.
からなら月もよく見えるだろう。
We'll be able to clearly see the moon from here. This is an amazing view. Thank you for saving the spot.
いや、大したことはしていない。
No problem. It was nothing special.
ねえ、さっき買った団子ちょうだい。
Hey, pass me the dango we just brought. All right, here you go. I took out the dango from the bag, handed it to him, and Yoichi immediately bit into it.
にしても、こうしてのんびり月の出を待つなんて初めてだよね。
I think this is the first time we've been relaxed while waiting for the
い
moonrise.
つも見回りとかばっかでずっと歩き回ってたし。
Usually on patrol around this time.
言われてみればそうだな。そもそも生まれてこの方、任務以外のことをするのは初めてかもしれない。
Now that you mention it, you're right. In fact, this might be the first time I've done something other than a mission since I was born.
まあ遊んでいるように見えても、結局は全部任務につながってたりするしね。
Well, even if it looks like we're enjoying ourselves, sometimes it all ends up being connected to the mission anyways. I was shocked by what he said. While I didn't know, hey Asia, while I didn't know how long it had been since they were born into the world, I didn't expect to hear that they'd never fully enjoyed themselves before. This is your first festival for the both of you?
そういうことになるな。
I suppose it would be. In that case, let's have fun. Let's keep watch. Alright, so we're currently on... Every part of me wants to say the wrong name right now. Hyuga. We're on Genjiro. I was right about the letter when I said earlier. I said start with the G. Alright, let's keep watch. There we go. In that case, let's patrol as usual after this.
はあ？今日はそういうのはいいってさっき言ったじゃん。
We literally just decided we didn't have to do that today. But Miyagi asked us to patrol, right? Then we should do our work properly.
せっかくの祭りなんだし、別に今日は良くない？
Come on, festivals don't happen every day. Can't we just skip patrol this time? But
じゃあ、美晴さんの行為は無視するわけ。あんたに気晴らししてほしいって言ってたけど。
we're just gonna ignore Maharu's good intention. She's the one who wanted you to take your mind off things. That's... Kyuga silently watched as Yoichi and I bickered. His calm expression made it completely impossible to read what he was thinking at the moment. Huh? Did I put Kyuga in a bad mood too? Was it normal to be this anxious when I couldn't see someone's threads? I ended up my conversation with Yoichi and turned immediately to face Kyuga. I'm sorry, did I say something out of line? But the moment I said that to him, Hugo widened his eyes as if a little
見回り
surprised
のことか？それなら問題ない。
about the patrol. If we're talking about that, it's not a problem.
むしろその心がけ自体はいいことだ。今後もその心意気でいるといい。
I think there was a moment where she had a conversation with Yoichi, and Yoichi said that is the most vessel-like response I've ever heard. If anything, it's good that you think that way. I think you should maintain that attitude going forward. Yes! Phew! He wasn't angry after all.
さすがにそれは堅苦しくない。
Couldn't we loosen up a little?
むしろ、余一は気を抜きすぎだ。
Actually, Yoichi, I think you're too relaxed. Maybe the best balance is in the middle point between these two. As we talked with each other, cheers started rising from around us. Wondering what it was, I followed their gaze and saw a dim moon had started showing itself in the sky. Aw, how cute! Yeah, Yoichi's cuter. Yoichi, Kyuka, the moon! The moon came
見れば
out!
わかるよ。
I can see that.
今日は天気が良くて良かったな。ここまで見事に見えるのは珍しいのではないか。
It's definitely, I think it's one of my favorites too. I like it a lot. We're lucky to have good weather today. Isn't it rare to see it so clearly? Does that mean we're near the end of the route? Because I think they had like a CG with the two boys and the other one too near the end of it. It's beautiful. Like Hugo said, there wasn't a single cloud in the sky. Thanks to that, we could clearly see the moon reveal itself slowly from behind the base of the mountain. Both Yuichi and Hyuga narrowed their eyes and watched it happen. Now that I think about it, it might be the first time seeing the moon in such a festive place. Before I came to Ito, I was also alone with nothing to do, so I often stared at the sky in a daze. I think there's still more. I don't remember. It's fine. I'm basically going between the two so I can get on the route at the same time, and then that way I can pick up the next route quicker without having to go through the story again. Before I came to Ito, I was all alone with nothing to do, so I often stared at the sky in a daze. Because it was always snowing there, I seldom saw anything other than snow, but seeing the moon occasionally peek out from between the clouds became a small piece of enjoyment for me. Back then, even when I looked at the moon, I felt nothing but loneliness, but now I have companions who watched it with me. I'll do my best so that I can stay here for as long as I can. I swore upon the moon, full of determination. Then after that, all right, we're gonna save on Hyuga. And then we're going to load Yoichi's route that I'm trying to get to.
じゃ、体も温まってきたところだし、面倒だけどそろそろ。
And see, let's see if there's anything different as well, because there could be some different dialogue. In that case, nope, no different dialogue. Let's have fun! In that case, why don't we just have fun today and forget about the mission? We even have permission.
言われなくともそのつもりだよ。
Don't have to tell me twice, that's my plan. When I said that to the two of them, Yoichi acted as if it was a given.
やるときはやる。休むときは休む。それが無理なく任務をこなす秘訣でしょう。
Work hard on the job, rest hard when you're not. That's the secret to handling missions without burnout. I see. Yoichi said things that might come off as half-baked, but every word made perfect sense. But in that case, doesn't that mean that you've already been having fun?
ならないし。
I love that Yoichi teaches Suzuno how to defend herself. Yeah, that was pretty cute. I even said that he gets a pass on the harm towards the pro tag because it's training. Because I always keep track of that in the games too. Because there's always someone who hits the protagonist at some point, and I'm like, you're instantly banned. You're banned. You can't look at her anymore. You can't look at her. You can't be around her. You can't say her name. You've lost it all. All right. No, it doesn't. Really? As we talked, cheers started rising around us. Wondering what it was, I followed their gaze and saw a dim moon had started showing itself in the sky. Wow. Alright, then after a while, the 26th night jubilee ended without incident and we returned to Samurai Town. Since it was already late at night, they even went out of their way to walk me to the front of the base.
気分転
Aww.
換はできたか？
Were you able to get a change of pace? Yes, all thanks to you too. I'm truly grateful for today. If another opportunity comes up, I'd like to hang out with everyone again. Uttering those last words took quite a bit of courage. Truthfully, I had no way of telling how they would react. Yet I found myself passionately wishing that I could experience the same fun I had today with some time again.
あ、そうだな。
Yes, right. For a moment, Kyuga looked like he was taken off guard, but that was quickly replaced with a reassuring smile.
その際は、余一も同行するのだぞ。
When the time comes, you'll have to come with us, Yoichi.
ああ、めんどくさ。
What a bother.
お前はいつもそうだな。
You always say that. Yoichi's the same as always. His reaction was predictable, and it actually made me
それで
smile.
は、私はそろそろ失礼する。また明日、よろしく頼む。
Alright then. I should get going now. I'll see you tomorrow. Kyuga bid us quick farewell and started walking in the direction of what I assumed was his home. But for some reason, only Yuichi stayed. Yuichi? You're not going?
これあげる。
Here, take this. Ooh. After he said that, Yuichi took out what looked like a glossy wooden stick. It was around the length of my forearm. The surface seemed well sanded and probably felt nice to the touch. In any case, we were in the dark location, so I couldn't observe the fine details. What's
見
this?
てわからない。
You can't tell from looking. It's the size of her forearm. I'm sorry. It's like a foot long. What are you talking about? Yoichi pulled both sides of the wooden stick as if to show me, and then that's perfect. That makes perfect. You know what? You right. You right. To my surprise, it appeared to be a dagger. I thought he bought her a hairpin. When he pulled away, the sheath inside was a blade that shone dully. What's that for?
稽古で使うから渡しておこうと思って。その辺の町娘だって持ってるものだし、別にあんたが持っててもおかしくはないでしょ。
I was thinking I'd give it to you since you'd be using it in training. Commoner women carry them too, so it wouldn't be weird for you to have it. That's true, but wasn't it rather eccentric choice for a gift? Seeing how I was unable to fully hide how unsettled I was, Yuichi scratched his head as if he was troubled.
ずっと考えてたんだよね。あんたが実戦でどうやって戦うべきかって。
Yoichi, are you saying I could probably fight someday? Are you saying I could be a little assassin? I've been thinking about this for a while now, about how you could fight in a real
で
battle.
きれば素人に刃物は持たせたくなかったんだけど、良いかが相手だとそうはいかないでしょ。
If I could help it, I would have avoided giving a novice a blade, but we don't have much of a choice fighting against the Blightfall, do
あん
we?
たがどう注ぎするのかは知らないけど、もしかしたら刀の代わりみたいなのがないとできないかもしれないし。
I don't know how you'd perform the snow sacrament. Maybe it might not even work unless you had something in the place of a
だから
sword.
あげる。
So I'm giving this to you.
本
Yoichi?
当ならかんざしとか櫛をあげた方が女は喜ぶんだろうけどさ。
I literally thought you were going to, so yeah, thanks. You are correct. I guess women are usually happier if you give them things like hairpins or
あんたも
combs.
さっきずいぶん熱心に眺めてたみたいだし。
It seemed like you were staring at them pretty intensely earlier too. He noticed that I was staring at the hairpin store earlier, but Yoichi purposely chose this dagger. As soon as I understood that I was able to easily accept his gift. I'm happy with it, thank you. If I had a new hairpin, I'd have to change my hair. That'd be a pain.
なんで？
Why? Because you bought it for me. I'd be grateful for anything you got me. Plus, unlike getting a hairpin, this gift feels like you accepted me as a comrade, and that makes me happy.
変なの。
Weirdo.
ま、あんたにやる気さえあるなら、これからもちゃんと教えるから。頑張りなよ。
Well, as long as you have the will, I'll be there to show you the way. Keep it up. So angry all the time. I will. Looking forward to it. Then Yoichi, his business concluded, took his leave immediately. I saw him off until I could no longer see him in the distance. I feel like I've really gotten closer to both Hyuga and Yoichi throughout today. I guess this is thanks to Mimi. It's not thanks to Mimi. You quite literally said this was a mission. Mimi did nothing. That just prolonged the scene. Whoa. From now on, I have to work harder and harder so that I can wield this dagger properly. After I strengthened my resolve once more, I turned on my heels and returned to the base. Oh yeah, the Kamakira didn't show up today. They said the 26th Night Jubilee could keep away the evil spirits. Maybe it disappeared. Wouldn't that be nice? The thought lingered on as I returned to my room. Like, you're not in your house yet. Da-na-na-na-na. Chapter 3. We're in Castletown still. In the not-so-distant past, a lone woman from the city was walking alone along a path lit by lanterns, a furoshiki cloth in hand, and her steps light.
お祭り大盛況でよかった。忙しかったけど楽
You
しか
could
った
say
わ。
Mimi. The festival was absolutely booming. It was busy, but it was so fun.
あの子も今頃楽しんでいるわよね。久我さんたちにお願いしたから大丈夫だとは思うんだけど。
Leah's probably having fun right now. I asked Hyuga to take care of her, so everything should be fine, but the city woman, Maharu, let her mind wander as she continued walking further and further down the road. Though there were less lanterns and the path became more narrow, she didn't seem to notice.
でも、あの子が暗い顔をしていたのは結局何が原因だったのかしら。
But I wonder why she was making such a gloomy face.
やっぱりお仕事関係？働き口が見つからないのは大変だものね。
I wonder if it was because of work. It can be difficult when you can't find a
次
job.
に会った時、またいろいろと聞いてみましょう。あの子はついついうちに溜め込んでしまうところがあるから。
The next time I see her, I should ask her some more questions. She always has a tendency to bottle things up inside. After summarizing her thoughts up to that point, Maharu suddenly stopped
あ
walking.
ら？
Huh?
ここどこかしら？
Where am I? Taking a look around, she realized that she was on an unfamiliar path. It seemed that while she had been lost in her thoughts, she had taken a wrong
あ
turn.
らあら、うっかりしていたわ。人通りも全然ないし、心細いわね。
Oh my. I'm such an airhead. I'm sure it's lonely when there aren't any people around.
暗いせいかしら。なんだか薄気味悪いし、こういうところにお化けとか幽霊が出るのよね。
Maybe because it's dark, it's kind of creepy. People say they see monsters or ghosts in places like this.
そういえば紙切りもまだ捕まっていないんじゃないかしら。
Speaking of which, I believe they said that the Kamakiri hadn't been caught
確
yet.
か噂では薄暗い夜道で。
If I recall, the rumors said he appears on poorly lit streets at night. In an instant, Maharu staggered without warning. She felt the pressure atop of her head as if something was pushing down on her.
なんなのこれ。
What is this? It was so heavy that Maharu was forced to her knees on the ground.
このままじゃまずいわ。なんとかして逃げなきゃ。
It's all internal. She's not saying this. This is bad. I have to get away somehow. But even when Maharu tried to swing her arms in retaliation, the culprit didn't budge an inch. Worse yet, it pressed a cold, hard object against her neck. Stop! The morning after the 26th Night Jubilee, the Oniwaban Castle team gathered in the main hall as per usual. Did the two of you sleep well after what happened?
ああ、 問題ない。睡眠時間の確保は健康を保つために必須だからな。
I guess. Not a problem at all. A proper amount of sleep is the utmost important if you wish to maintain your health. Health is top priority in the Oniwaban after all. How about you,
聞
Yoichi?
くまでもないだろ
Do you even need to ask?
ちょっと、それどういう意味？
What do you mean by that? But there was no sign of Miyashi here. Without his presence, we couldn't have our meeting, so we passed our time by
う。
chatting.
それにしても宮地殿遅いな。普段だったら集合時間前に来ているはずなのだが。
In any case, Miyashi sure is late. He's usually here before the meeting
この
time.
間のこの子みたいに寝てるんじゃないの？髪の毛ぐしゃぐしゃにしてさ。
He's probably sleeping like Shu did the other day. His hair is probably all messy like hers too. It was just like that because you came in so suddenly and my hair's fine now, see?
どうだか。
Not so sure about that
二
one.
人とも静かに。噂をすれば来たようだ。
You two be quiet. Speak of the devil, here he comes, the man himself. Upon hearing what Kyuga said, I listened closely and heard footsteps coming from the hallway. I straightened my posture and gazed at the door leading outside.
おはよう。みんな揃っているね。
Good morning. It seems everyone's assembled. When Miyashi arrived, he seemed to be downtrodden, that I became worried just looking at him. The threads at his neck were as blue as it was. Did something happen?
今日はどうしたのですか？
Is something the matter today?
遅れてしまって申し訳ない。少し上から報告を受けていたんだ。
I apologize for my tardiness. I just received a report from the higher ups.
実は昨日また紙切りが現れたらしい。
Apparently, the Kamikiri made another appearance last night. The moment those words came out of his mouth, a sense of urgency ran through the air. It was a sudden change from the calm mood of earlier. Hyuga and Yoichi's faces immediately
紙切りはい
froze.
つ頃出現したのですか？昨日通報はなかったはずですが。
When did the Kamikiri appear? There wasn't any reports of sightings
出
yesterday.
現自体は夜みたいだね。ただ被害者が発見されたのは早朝だからこちらも気づけなかった。
The appearance itself was at night. We didn't notice because the victim was discovered in the early morning. So that means they were just left on the street after they were attacked?
そういうことになるかな。
Yes, that's right. The casual explanation had left me with an indescribable feeling. Though it was summer, the night was quite cold. If they were collapsed on the street for an entire night, it must have been very stressful on their body. I wonder if they're all right, despite the fact that they were a stranger. The story alone made me worry. Good,
で、
ready.
どこの誰がやられたわけ？
Who was
水
attacked?
茶屋の看板娘、美春だ。
The poster girl from the tea stall, Maharu. Huh? The moment I heard those words, a shock ran through me like I had been punched in the face. I blacked out. And then we immediately ran to the victim of the incident to Maharu.
ここに事件の被害者がいると聞いてきたのだが。
We heard the victim of the incident is
はい、
here.
奥へどうぞ。
Yes, please come to the back. The servant guided us to the back of the store, and there we were. We saw.
ああ、久我さん、来てくださったんですね。
Hyuga, thank you for coming. She was there. Mimi sleeping like a dead body with the tea stall owner sitting next to her. Mimi. Her hair had been hacked off to the shoulder. On top of that, black threads were wrapped all over her body, forming something of a cocoon. The amount of emotional imprints were incomparable to the first victim we had seen. Though in Otone's case, there had been another explanation for the imprints. It was hard to imagine that Mimi had sold her hair or gotten sick. In other words, she had been attacked by the Kamikiri.
彼女はずっとこうなのか。
She remained like this since.
はい。目覚める気配は全くありません。寝返りはおろか、声一つ上げ
When I saw this part, I was mad. If anything happened to my girl, I was fighting everyone. I'm curious, do they show her with her haircut? Because they haven't done it yet. There's no sign of her waking up. She hasn't moved at all, let alone
医
speak.
者にも見てもらったんですが、悪いところは全くないみたいで、ちょっとした擦り傷程度ならあるようですが。
I've had a doctor look at her, but There doesn't seem to be anything wrong. Maybe a few scratches, but
そうみたいだね。髪の毛以外にはおかしな点はないみたい。
looks like nothing's out of place except for the hair. Yoichi brazenly pulled open Mimi's sleeping kimono while examining her body. A type of comforter with sleeves and a collar like a kimono. Scratches that would normally heal immediately for form folk were still present on her
あんたの
body.
方はど
Yeah, what do you make of it? It's pretty bad, I think. I could only give a vague answer to Yuichi. There was no way that I could explain in detail here where the storekeeper was. It seemed that Yoichi and Kyuga understood that as they refrained from asking further.
店主、それでは昨日何があったのか説明してもらえるか。
Storekeeper, could you explain what happened yesterday?
はい。
Yes. Perhaps because he was still shaken up, the storekeeper nodded anxiously. He then tightened his fist over his knees before he opened his mouth with determination.
うちでは昨日祭りのため店を出していました。美晴もそちらの手伝いをしてもらってたんです。
Yesterday, we opened up a storefront for the festival. I made Maharu help me there as
そ
well.
れで祭りもお開きになったところで美晴には店じまいを頼みました。私は先に大きな荷物を持って家に
When
戻
the
ったん
festival
です。
ended, I asked Maharu to close up shop. I went home early with the larger items.
家に到着した後、私は美晴が帰ってくるのを待っていたんですが、いつの間にか眠っていたらしくて。
After I arrived home, I waited for Maharu to come back, but I guess I fell asleep sometime during the night. So you guys live together in the same place, and you decided to make her close up a stall late at night by herself and fell asleep before she got back, so you didn't even go looking for her until the next day. Wow. Like, she could help carry heavy items. You could close up shop together. I didn't like that. Yeah, it makes no sense. I don't like it. That makes no sense at all.
朝起きたら驚きました。美晴が帰ってきた形跡が全くなかったんで
Like,
す。
sir, come on. Yeah. Like, what? When I woke up in the morning, I was baffled. There was absolutely no sign that Maharu had came back. Like, also, Maharu was pretty chill for walking around at night, honestly. She was the one who warned MC about the danger.
そこで慌てて探しに行こうとしたところ、町奉行から知らせが来て。
When I hurried to go look for her, that's when I got the notice from the city commissioner.
事件のことを知ったわけか。
And you learned about the
は
incident.
い。美晴が発見されたのは早朝だったそうです。たまたま散歩をしていた人に見つけてもらえたようで。
I heard that Maharu was discovered in the early mornings, that someone going for a stroll happened to find
昨
her.
日私が寝たりしなければ美晴は
No. It had nothing to do with you falling asleep. If you had just went home with her instead of a separate. Like, I'd get if you lived in different sites, but also, no. Because he'd be like, oh, I carried the heavier stuff. Whatever. Should have a wagon. Let me introduce you to wagons. If I hadn't fallen asleep yesterday, Maharu, when he got to that point of the conversation, the storekeeper became choked up. I couldn't see his expression since he was looking down. Just judging from the colors of his threads, he must be feeling intense
わ
sorrow.
かった。そこまで聞かせてもらえれば十分だ。
You understand? That's all you have to say.
あとはもう少し彼女のことを調べさせてもらってもいいか。できれば席も外してもらえると助かる。
At least he hurried to look for her. There's some side characters who will wait until a couple days later or a week. That's fine. But we're talking about this situation right now. And I'm just gonna say, if you already knew there was bad things happening at night, and you're like, you know what? See you later, lady. I'm going home. Bad juju. Do you mind if you examine her a little more? It may be the best for you to leave the room.
はい、わかりました。
Yes, I understand. The storekeeper stumbled unsteadily out of the store. After we watched him leave, Kyuga and Yoichi focused their gaze onto me.
で、あんたには具体的にどう見えてるわけ？
How does it look to you
そうだ
exactly?
な。白石の一族の目には何が見えているのか教えてくれ。
Yes, tell us what your Haseki eyes see. I expected them to ask that question, so I told them duo. I told the duo the details of what I saw. Hopefully it doesn't make her close the place at night anymore. If she wakes up, take that as a lesson. She's wrapped up in black threads like the cocoon of a silkworm. This is the first time I've ever seen a person entangled in so many emotional imprints.
だから美晴さんも意識がないのか。
Could be that. BY Maharu is unconscious. Did I just realize he's got his hair cut underneath? He's got a ponytail but a low cut in the back too. Wait a second. What?
髪切りの力が強くなっているんじゃないの？これまでの被害者とは明らかに違うし。
It might mean the Kamikiri is getting stronger. This is clearly different compared to the previous victims. While they conversed, I just stared at Mimi as she lay on the bed. Mimi, who was always so expressive and smiled so cheerily, now looked like a silent doll. But her body wasn't completely lax, and her hands were still clenched tightly. It was awfully painful to sight. Mimi. Though I knew it was useless, I moved my hands to try to get rid of the emotional imprints. No. Oh, the snow sacrament. If I try snow sacrament, since I didn't know how to perform the snow sacrament, I tried chanting in my heart. Please let Mimi wake up. Please give Mimi back her strength. It was completely useless. Just like the last time I tried, nothing had changed in front of me. Faced with the reality, I felt acutely aware of my own uselessness.
何？
What? Couldn't you perform the soul sacrament to heal her? If there's black threads? If these black threads disappear, then Mimi should
俺たち
definitely...
キコは良いかを滅することしかできない。前に殿がしてた話、覚えてないの？
We vessels can only destroy Blightfall. Don't you remember what the Shogun said before? Snow. I started to hate the word no. No. I'm gonna probably say it wrong again and have this flashback of my entire childhood again where it was so cute, but I couldn't say the word. That's right. Even though I knew that I couldn't help but cling to the possibility, then if we can just defeat the Blightfall, Mimi should be healed immediately, right? She'll be okay, right?
それは何とも言えない。
There's no way to tell. I need something to hope for, okay? Give it to me.
原因となった良いかを倒しても、このまま一生目を覚まさない可能性もある。これまでにもそういう人はいた。
Even if we defeat the Blightfall that caused it, there is a chance that she still will never wake up. There have been people like that in the past. The duo's answers were cold and calculated. It was as if they were hammering home the reality that in the fight against the Blightfall, there was no easy salvation. Salvation? Flashbacks. All right. Then what should I do? What should I do to save Mimi? Maybe I should have insisted she come with me to the festival back then. If I didn't... Okay, first off, you're backpedaling. You can't change what's already happened. There's no time traveling in this game, I don't think. So you just gotta live with what you got. I literally forgot that I had a hard time with the word snow. Now that I remember that time. The trauma, it's returned. If I had done that, Mimi would never have been walking alone at night. Same with the storekeeper had just waited for
町奉行
her.
にも話を聞きに行くぞ。現場を捜索しているはずだ。何か情報を得ているかもしれない。
Just in case, let's go see what the city commissioner has to say. They should be conducting an investigation of the crime scene and might have more intel.
わかった。
Understood.
聞いているか？
Are you listening? Sorry. It seemed that the conversation had advanced while I was thinking things through in my head. Even after I gave a rushed answer, Kyuga's eyes stared right at me. Almost like he saw straight through my heart.
後悔しているのか
Do you feel regret?
あの時祭りに彼女も誘っていれば自分が一緒にいれば美晴さんは無事だったかもしれない
If only you had invited her to the festival that time. If only you were with her, Maharu might have been
そう
safe.
考えていたのか
That's what you're thinking? That was exactly what I had been thinking. He read my mind so accurately that I couldn't say a word in
は
response.
っきり言おうそれは無駄だ起こってしまったことを後悔しても今さらどうしようもできない
That's right, Hyuga. You tell her. I'll be frank, it's useless. No matter how much you may regret things, there's nothing you can do at this point. He's right. It's exactly how Hyuga says. Even if I obsess over what happened in the past, there's no use.
だから考えるならば今だ
So if you're going to think things about now... Huh?
彼女を救うために何をなすべきなのか今はそれを考えるべきではないのか
What you must do in order to save the girl. Isn't that what you should be thinking right now? Hyuga. One could say those words were characteristic of all vessels whose hearts had been sealed away. It was first off, there's no use blaming people for like, oh, I should have had her come with me. Yeah, I can't. I'm getting mad at the shopkeeper, but that's more like you already knew stuff was going bad. Like that wasn't her responsibility. She's not responsible for Mimi. She was not with Mimi at the time. But he was with Mimi at the time, and he knew bad stuff was happening at night and sent her home alone. After him is the part that I'm like sort of mad about. Like after, like he already went home. That means she left even later than he left. Like that's just wild to me that you'd be like, I'm fine with that. But in her case, you weren't even with her. Like you weren't responsible for her. You weren't having to keep an eye on her. But again, like you had a choice there and you made the wrong choice. So her dwelling on I should have had her come with me. Nah, the shopkeeper should have had him come with her because they literally lived together apparently. It was a truly calm suggestion which only considered the reality that was in front of you. That is not a vessel-like trait. That is just a factual-like trait. If you dwell on like, well, I should have done this, it's too late. It's already happened. You have to deal with the now. She's like this now. What are we gonna do now? But in his own way, I could feel that Hyuga was trying to encourage me. I kept trying to say courage just now. Oh, I paused on him blinking, which is funny. It might have been my own imagination. I might have just happened to hear it in that way. But even so, as soon as I interpreted it in that way, my heart was set. I'm sorry I was in the wrong. In order to solve this case, I'll think only of what I need to do now. When hearing my determination, Hyuga nodded in a satisfied manner. Which reminds me, am I Hyuga's route or am I Yuichi's route? I have to remind myself every 5 seconds or I get scared. I'm currently on Yoichi. Alright. After that, we were to separate and gather information on our own as per usual. Yoichi returned to his workplace temporarily while Hyuga and I patrolled around town.
だから何度も言っているように俺は何も見ちゃいねえよ
Like I've been telling you, I didn't see
朝に散
anything.
歩してたらたまたまあの子が倒れていたのを見つけたんだそれ以外は何も
I was having a morning stroll and I just happened to see her collapse on the ground. Other than that, I didn't see any. It seemed like the volunteer police and constable were conducting an investigation around town. We spotted them nearby speaking with the person who discovered Mimi.
一応私も行ってこよ
I should go just in case. I understand. Then I'll wait here. After Hyuga left, I looked around the surrounding
また
area.
紙切りが出たらしいわよ。
Did you hear? The Kamikiri appeared again.
怖いわね。下手人は一体何が目的なのかしら。
That's terrifying. Just what could the culprit be after? When I listened to Indaldi conversations, I could hear the civilians' concerns. With a quick look, I could see that the color of their threads were full of anxiety, anger, fear, and other emotions. Amongst them were people whose negative emotions were so heightened that they were about to be dyed black. This can't go on. If we don't catch the Kamikiri quickly, we might end up with more Blightfall on our hand. If that were to happen, then it'll be even more difficult to catch the Kamikiri. As I thought that, I noticed that there was a familiar figure standing in the corner of the street. Mitsu, right? She's the form folk who lives with Otone. She must also be carrying a deep sense of unease. The threads at her neck were a complicated mix of blue and black. I became worried when I saw that and decided to walk towards her. Is something the matter? I'm Leah. You're Mitsu, right? When I asked, Mitsu nodded. It seemed that she was a person of a few words, and she didn't open her mouth after that. I'd never talked to Mitsu before, so there was no helping that. Then maybe I should talk to her. A conversation could help distract her from all this. How has Atone been? Quick question. Work question, sorry. How has Atone been afterwards?
全然ダメです。どんどん体調が悪くなっているみたいで。あまり会話もできなくなっている。
She's gonna be evil, right? She's gotta be. The one thing that these games have in common is they do not animate unimportant characters. She's animated, but her owner is not. like what's your secrets, girl? Not good at all. She seems to be getting sicker and sicker, and it's getting harder for her to hold conversations. It seemed like I picked the wrong topic, though Mitsu answered me. She was completely in the dumps. I could clearly see the black threads separating from her neck and attaching themselves onto the emotional imprints around us. Oh no. But Mitsu's worries wouldn't be alleviated unless Atone's condition returned to normal. As I racked my brain figuring out how to console her, Mitsu turned her gaze onto the volunteer police conducting the investigation.
また犠牲者が出たんですよね。
There's been another victim, right? Seems that way.
私許せません。女の人の髪をあんな形で切ってしまうなんて。
I can't forgive them to cut a woman's hair off in such a way. Those words must have come from the fact that she'd experienced firsthand the sadness of her master who had also lost her hair. Mitsu trembled with anger as she clenched her hands tightly into fist. I could barely make out the wooden tablet that must have been tied to her hand. That was when I noticed that Mitsu's wooden tablet was slightly chipped at the edge. Is it? I heard that their wooden tablets were as important to the form folk as life itself. Even though the damage was minor, I wondered whether it would have some sort of effect on her body. Upon closer inspection, how close did you get? Like, I just want to picture her going like this, right in front of her. I even felt the wooden tablet itself had become somewhat blackish in color. Is your wooden tablet alright?
Hi?
What? It looks like a little bit chipped. Are you feeling okay? When I pointed it out with my fingers and confirmed the damage, the color drained from Mitsu's face.
ありがとうございます。気づきませんでした。
Thank you very much. I didn't notice. Did it get chipped around here? If you'd like, I can search for the piece with you.
いえ、大丈夫です。そろそろ私帰ります。
It's alright, I should be heading home now. Mitsu quickly walked away, hiding the wooden tag as if trying to protect it. She didn't even give me the time to say goodbye. To form folk, the wooden tablet is fundamental for creating a real body. Maybe she didn't want me to look at it. It was just for a second, but it seemed like her threads took on the color of panic. My conversation with Mitsu further fueled the fires of determination. Yeah, I want to figure out how to help everyone. For Mitsu and Atone's sake, what did I kick? And Mimi. But what exactly should I do? As I tried my hardest to think of a plan, a breeze blew from out of nowhere. Because of that, my hair and sleeve of my kimono swayed in the swimming of the air. Ah. While I blankly watched that, a certain thought planted itself in my mind. There's only one thing I can think of, something that only I can do. The idea came to me like a blessing from above, and with this single newfound thread of hope, I left the area. A few bells later, when our investigation came to an end, everyone returned to the base. However,
というわけで、報告は以上です。今回も決定的な情報は得られませんでした。
and that concludes our report. We weren't able to obtain any key information this
こっ
time.
ちも同じ。噂話程度のことしか聞けなかったよ。
Same here. All I could gather was just a bunch of rumors.
君は
How about you, Leah? It was the same for me. There seemed to be more of an emotional imprint all throughout Castletown, but I think those were just from the townsfolk. After hearing the report, Miyagi let out a
困
big
ったね。
sigh.
せめて美晴さんに意識があれば何か分かったかもしれないのに。
Technically, we did learn something. It's getting worse, Miyagi. It's getting really bad out there, okay? Take your daughter and your wife and get out of town. We're in quite the predicament. If only Maharu was conscious, maybe we could have learned something. Right, up to this point, we were only able to get testimonies from the victims.
で、どうすんの？このままだと被害者が増えてく一方だけど。
Doing nothing will give us more victims.
紙切りの力もどんどん強くなってるし、次の被害者はさすがに殺されるんじゃない？
With the Kamikiri growing stronger, I wouldn't be surprised if the next victim is found dead.
せめて紙切りが出現する場所に再び遭遇できればいいのだが。
If only we could at least encounter the Kamikiri when they return to the crime scene.
助っ人を呼んだところでどうにかなるものでもないしね。
It's not like this is something that can be solved with more manpower. I have beautiful hair, not right now because I don't, but she does. She does. Pretend I'm her. She's got super long hair. That's the MO. She's lovely, I'm sure. I listened to everyone's conversation. A certain fact started to form in my mind. If nothing changes, it'll be possible to defeat Kamikiri. I guess I have no choice but to use that method to solve this case. When I made up my mind, I shot my hand up in the air. Oh, she did it. She raised her hand. I have a suggestion.
なんだい？
What is it? How about I act as spade?
ん？
Huh? The atmosphere turned completely frigid at my off-the-cut suggestion. In particular, Miyagi's anxiety grabbed my shoulders, looking incredibly pale. Anxiously grabbed my shoulders.
何を言っているんだい？
What are you saying?
知り合いが被害に遭って混乱しているのはわかるけど、いくらなんでもそれは。
Man, his eyeliner. Look at this guy. I can understand that you're upset because your friend was a victim, but that's going too far. I'm not acting out of desperation. Everything considered, I thought this was our best option. In order to convince Miyagi, who looked worried, I calmly and carefully chose my words. If I become emotional here, there was no way anyone was listening to me. When I looked at Yoichi and Kyuga, they were listening to me as if nothing was wrong. Yoichi mentioned before that there are 3 shared traits between the Kamakiri victims, right? First, they're all women, they all have long hair, and lastly, they are all attacked at dusk. Technically, I meet all the conditions, though I'm not sure if my hair is beautiful. But if it's nighttime, I don't think they would see my hair that well, so long hair alone should be enough. If I were to walk alone at night on the streets, chances are the Kamakiri would show up, right?
それはそうかもしれないが、
That's true, but I explained as much and gently held Miyagi's hand and lowered them from my shoulders. It seemed that Miyagi was racked with confusion. As if to show that state, the thread on his neck was a mix of jumbled and various colors.
でもどうして急にそんなことを？
Why did you suddenly decide? I answered the question honestly. Right, we're gonna save in the third slot. As a reminder, we're on Yoichi's route currently. Reminding myself. I'm just doing what I can. No, wrong one. Load. This is the only option. There we go. Because this is the only option we have left, right? Gathering information isn't viable anymore if we keep using the same investigation methods as we have up to this point. We'll never catch the Kamikiri. So I thought about it, of a method that could definitely get us closer to the culprit. Yoichi stared at me with his usual unfriendly expression as I choked out my confession. I slowly let out my breath in order to make a final point. I cannot pull off this plan alone unless I have everyone's cooperation. We won't be able to defeat the Kamikiri. Please agree to help me out on this. My voice echoed in the quiet room. For the first time, I felt like Yoichi and Kyuka's expressions changed just a little. But in contrast to them, Miyagi's brows furrowed.
悪いけど、
No,
それは許
sorry.
可できない。
I can't allow that. Well, then I'm just gonna go talk to the Shogun without you. He'll probably agree with me.
あま
Why?
りにも危険すぎるからだよ。君は戦い慣れていないし、未熟な者におとりなんて役割を任せられるわけがない。
It's too dangerous. You're not used to fighting, and there's no way to let a novice act as bait. I have a knife, okay?
その結果、もし君が命を落としてもしたら、殿にも顔向けができないだろう。
If you lost your life as a result, I wouldn't even know what to say to the Shogun. Is it because I'm part of the Hakuseki clan?
それもあるけど、純粋に君のことを心配しているんだ。
And I'm genuinely worried about everyone, okay? I'm not the only person here. There's that too, but I'm genuinely worried about you.
今回の事件、もし妻や子供が襲われたらと、俺も気が気じゃなかったよ。それは部下である君だって同じことだ。
After this incident, I kept worrying about whether my wife or child would be attacked next. As my subordinate, you are no
だから、
different.
その提案は
Your suggestion is...
俺はやってもいいと思うけど。
I think she should try it. Just when Miyagi was about to shut down the conversation, Yoichi, who had been silent up until now, butted in. Miyagi blinked owishly at the unexpected interruption.
陽一、何を？
Yoichi, what are you?
確かにおとり役としては力不足だと思うけど、それはまあこっちが協力すればどうとでもなるんじゃない？
I don't know if she can pull off being bait, but well, if you help her, then that shouldn't be an issue.
一応武術の稽古はしてあるから敵から逃げることくらいはできるはずだし。そうでしょ？
We've taught her some martial arts just in case, so at the very least she'll be able to run away from enemies, isn't that right? Yes. I'm strong. I grabbed at Yoichi's unexpected lifeline. Then Hyuga, who was standing at Yoichi's side with a cool expression, also began
宮地
nodding.
殿、私も彼女の意見に賛成です。
Lord Miyagi, I also agree with her suggestion.
源十郎、君まで。
Genjiro, you
彼女の言
too?
っていることはもっともでしょう。この状況では、こちらからおとりを出す以外に、事件解決の手立てはありません。
What she said is right. There's no other way to solve this case in this situation other than to draw them out with bait.
しかし、
But you probably couldn't accept it from an emotional standpoint. Miyagi still refused to
宮地
agree.
殿、彼女ももう客人ではなく、お庭番の一員です。 江戸の民を守ることが使命でしょう。
That's right. I have a mission now. Lord Miyagi, she is no longer our guest. Leah is a member of the Oniwa band. Protecting the citizens of Edo is her duty.
そんな彼女がした初めての決断です。我々も力を貸すべきではありませんか。
This is the first decision she's ever made since joining us. Shouldn't we be lending her our strength? Please, Miyagi, I want to help everyone too. Ugh. As I made a last-ditch effort to plead my case, Miyagi lowered his head as if in thought. I could only assume that he was torn between following his conscience and sense of duty, but after what felt like an eternity, Miyagi slowly raised his head.
わかった。認めよ
I accept. Miyagi nodded his head, albeit begrudgingly. Though he must not have wanted to accept the plan, he likely understood that it was the only logical option. Thank you very much.
う。ただ、危険だと思ったら、作戦の成否を問わず、すぐに手を引いてほしい。いいね。
That if you ever feel in danger, I want you to back off immediately, regardless of the plan's success. Do you understand? Got it. Miyagi said empathetically, and I, as well as Kyuga and Yoichi, nodded. And that was how the decoy strategy I presented became a reality. That night, the wind fills lukewarm. A step forward, then another step. I was walking alone down. I hit the button too fast. Down a pitch black road. The road where Miyagi reportedly collapsed was oozing with spiderweb-like emotional imprints. As soon as we got permission from Miyagi, we finished our discussion and decided that the strategy would be put into place that day. I couldn't see them, but Kyuga and Yoichi were supposedly hiding nearby. While Miyagi wasn't particularly in the plan itself, he had made a oh my gosh, I can do this. I know how to read sentences and words, and I'm strong. While Miyagi wasn't participating in the plan itself, he had made arrangements from behind the scenes so that we could pull it off smoothly. There isn't anyone at all. Considering what happened yesterday, I guess the town folks wouldn't be walking around at night, which means I should look pretty appealing to the Kamakiri right about now. How did Mimi feel walking here yesterday? When she was attacked by the Kamakiri, how terrified must she have been? Mimi. As I thought about Mimi, so too did I think of the many, many memories from our past. I could remember when we first met, as well as when we lived as sisters in the village, the day we used to spend laughing with each other. The clearest memory of all was when she was chased out from the village and had to leave. What sweet memories. We're getting a flashback? I don't think we needed that. Are you really leaving?
ごめんなさい。もう私はこの村にはいられないのよ。形人だってバレてしまったから。
I'm sorry, Leah. I can't be in this village anymore because they found out that I'm a form folk.
そんな顔しないで。宗則さんもいるし大丈夫よ。もしかしたらお友達もできるかも。
I literally made you because I didn't have any friends. Okay, Mimi. Think about that. Don't say things like that to this child. Don't make that face. Muninori's still here, so you'll be alright. You might even be able to make some friends. I don't need them. I don't need any friends except you, Mimi. When everyone looks at me, their threads become a weird color. I mean, you're the only one. You're the only one who talks to me like I'm a normal kid. If you're gone, then Leah.
ごめんなさい。寂しい思いをさせてしまうわね。
I'm sorry. I know you'll feel so lonely because of me.
でも私、思うのよ。あなたがその力を持って生まれてきたのは、ちゃんと意味があることなんだって。
You know what I think? I think that there's a good reason why you were born with that power. A
だって
reason?
そうじゃない。 あなたはその力があるから、人をより深く知ることができるわ。
I mean, think about it. Because of that power, you're able to be more deep. Because you have that power, I can read. I can do it. It's because you have the power that you're able to more deeply understand people.
だか
I
ら、
did it. I read the
心から
sentence.
信頼できる人だって見つけられるわ。私や宗則さん以外にもきっといるはずよ。
You'll be able to find someone who you trust from the bottom of your heart. Aside from Mininori and myself, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there.
いつかあなたがそんな人を見つけられたら、私は嬉しいわ。
And if you do find someone like that someday, I'll be so happy. Imagine if her father um moved her out of this town where people hated her so much. Imagine that. Imagine what her life would have been like if she'd been like, "Hey, you know what? You're Elsa now. Conceal, don't feel. Don't let it show. Don't tell people you know what they're feeling." Mimi's always thought about me. She never seemed to dislike interacting with a child like myself. The reason I have this power, it must be so that I can protect people like Mimi. It must be so that I could meet more friends that are just like her. I won't let Mimi die, no way. I'll definitely defeat the Kamakiri. In that moment, the emotional imprints scattered around the area started to rustle and move. Could this be? I immediately stopped and observed them. One by one, the black threads wiggled like a snake as they gathered in from far distance. And there, as expected, a familiar black shadow stood. I tried to observe the figure, but it was unfortunately too dark to see clearly. I could just barely make out that it had a feminine figure, but the Kamakiri was a woman. But this feeling is exactly the same as when I encountered it last time. Even while I was carefully observing them, the emotional imprints wrapped themselves around the mysterious silhouette like a cocoon, and then calmed down. Within an instant, the Kamakiri appeared from within the cocoon. Judging by the fact that it had an original form, it was likely that the Blightfall was a result of a human's transformation. It was intimidating. The inhuman monster roared at close range, and I was forced to catch my breath. But this was neither the time nor place to get scared. Gulp. Since I lured out the Kamakiri, my job is finished. I have to run right away. But in an instant, multiple hair-like tentacles reached out to me from all sides. I never even thought that it would be able to control so many tentacles at once. In the blink of an eye, it managed to grab my limbs. I was slammed down against the ground. I completely let my guard down. To think that the tentacles could stretch like that. I should have learned how to dodge lots of attacks from Yuichi. Is there any way I can escape from here? But the tentacles had an elastic quality, and I couldn't tear them apart. And because the tentacles were holding me down, I couldn't even take out the dagger that was supposed to be my saving grace. Not only that, the tentacles appeared to be able to suck the energy out of whoever they're tied up. I was beginning to see stars in my vision and felt like I would faint if I relaxed. That was only in the last few seconds.
行くぞヨイチ
Let's go, Yuichi.
了解。
Understood. Hyuga and Yoichi leapt out from the shadows of the alleyway. The two of them had already unsheathed their swords. I can speak. His isn't a sword though, it's a dagger. They seemed they planned on defeating him in one fatal blow. As soon as the Kamakiri took notice, it started to withdraw its tentacles, pulling me in along with them. It was going to use me as a shield.
ヨイチ
Yoichi.
言われなくても分かってる。
Yeah, I know. Of course, since it had done that, Hyuga and Yoichi couldn't swing their swords. The two of them redirected their swords at the last second and instead sliced off the tentacles around us. Thanks to that, the tentacles binding me loosened just a little. Now, using the opening, I pulled out the dagger that was still hiding in my obi. So long as I have a weapon, I can escape on my own. I wouldn't say that. No way! But it seemed like it had no intent of letting its hostage free so easily. The Kamakiri made what I could only describe as a scream and immediately sent several tentacles my way. It must have wanted to reinforce its binding. What should I do? I can't escape with this many coming at me. If I don't do something... Leah, watch out. Watch your enemy's movement carefully. As soon as I heard that voice, the confusion and panic in my mind instantly vanished, replaced by a calm sense of order. At the same time, my head played back all of the things I'd learned in training. That's right, Yoichi taught me about this time and time again. When I dodged an attack, I looked at the joint of my opponent's arms and then... You fall in the same direction as where you were attacked. By the time Yoichi nodded at me with certainty, I had escaped safely from the tentacles. And at the same time, I thrusted my dagger into the tentacles that lost their prey. I don't suppose it was an impressive attack from the Kamakiri's point of view, but it seemed to have a great effect in creating an opening for it to an enemy. Let's get this over with. Kamikiri, your life's ends here. Of course, there was no way the two of them would miss that. Before the Kamikiri could regain its footing, the two charged in as if they were intersecting each other, and they succeeded in breaking the mask. You did it? As its death roar sounded out, black threads started separating from the Kamikiri's body bit by bit. Its body, which had looked like nothing more than a grotesque monster, slowly returned to a human form. It was no longer able to maintain its delightful appearance, I assume. All that was left was to arrest the human and unmask the Kamakiri's true identity. But contrary to our predictions, the Kamakiri completely dissolved into thin air and vanished. The Kamakiri's true human form was nowhere to be found. Where could it have possibly? You know what can do that? A Fey form. Fey form? Form Fey? They might be hiding nearby. Let's go. Right. But strangely enough, after that, no matter how much we searched the area, we couldn't find the culprit. Form Fey can turn into... Formful can turn into anything, right? Afterwards, while Kyuga went to give the report, Yoichi and I immediately ran into the tea stall. Of course, it was to confirm Mimi's safety. Mimi? Oh dear, Leah. We ran through the store and went to the back room where she's got long hair. Oh wait, she's a Fey form, isn't she? We ran through the store and went to the back room where we saw Mimi in the midst of getting up from her futon bed. Though she was rubbing her eyes in a dazed manner, her eyes were able to follow us. Her hair, which had been cut short when I saw her in the afternoon, was already back to normal. Mimi, are you feeling okay? Does it hurt anywhere? I'm a little sleepy, but I don't feel any pain and don't worry. As I entered the room and drew closer to her, Mimi smiled at me, if trying to calm me down. Mahari woke up. That's right, she just woke up a few moments ago. Upon seeing Mimi safe and sound, it finally felt like we had solved the case. I don't think you did, if I'm being real. She must have been freed from the curse after we defeated the Kamikiri who put the curse on her. The other victims who had been talking about their sickness must be recovered as well. I'm so glad. I'm really so glad. What's the matter? You're crying like a child. And here I thought you had grown up already. Tears welled up in my eyes from all the emotions, and Mimi put her arm around me to give me a hug. But then,
あら
oh dear. Before that, Mimi stopped in her tracks. When I looked to see what was wrong, she was staring at the palm of her hand with a curious expression on her face. What's wrong, Mimi? Do you still feel
う
unwell?
ん、そうじゃなくて、私ったらずっと何かを握りしめていたみたい。
Oh, I wonder what it is. I wonder what could possibly fit in the palm of the hand. It seems that I've been holding on to something this whole time. Now that you mention it, Mimi, you had your hands clenched the entire time you were passed out, right? Is that related?
そうだったの？でも、いつの間にこんなものを。
Was that what happened? But when did I get this? When I peered at what Mimi was staring at so intently, I saw what appeared to be an old piece of wood. On top of it having a blackish color, there was a few emotional imprints clinging to it. Whatever it wasn't good news. Where did you...
どこだったかしら。
I wonder where.
思い出したわ。これ、紙切りに襲われた時に拾ったものよ。
I remember now. Like a dream. I picked it up when I was attacked by the
私
kamikiri.
あの時、紙切りに抵抗しようとして腕を振り回したの。そうしたらこれが相手から落ちてきて。
Back then I tried to fight back by swinging my arms and they dropped this thing.
そうだわ。それをずっと握ってたのよ。
That's right, I was holding on to this the whole time.
つまりこの木片は証拠品ってこと？見ただけじゃ元が何だったのかまではわからないけど。
So that piece of wood is evidence. It's hard to tell where exactly that thing came from. The black piece of wood that was in Mimi's hand. As I looked at it, I felt a bizarre sensation. I've seen this somewhere before. That's right. What I saw back then must be. Yoichi peered at me, curious to see why I suddenly fell silent.
何か思い当たる節でもあるの？
Does it ring any bells? Yoichi, I know what this is.
本当？
You're joking. I never joke at a time like this. Go get Kyuga. We have to go to this thing's owner immediately.
わかった。
I got it. I came back to my senses and asked Yoichi, who immediately got moving. Does Mimi have nothing to say about how I'm maintaining such calm composure and commanding cute boys around? Rude.
ご
Meanwhile,
主人、お水を持ってきましたよ。
Master, I've brought you water. Tone silently continued to sleep in the room, lit only by a candle. Even when Mitsu talked to her from her side, she continued to lie there as if she couldn't hear a thing. She had become almost like a mere object. Mitsu gazed upon her master, looking melancholic.
ご主人、どうして返事をしてくれないんですか？
Master, why won't you answer
ど
me?
うしてお水を飲んでくれないんですか？
Why won't you drink any
蜜
water?
のこと嫌いになったんですか？
Do you not like me
Go,
anymore,
Suji.
Master?
ご主人？
Master. But that's when Mitsu noticed. She noticed that Atone's breath had almost completely stopped.
ご主人！
Master?
ご主人！起きてください！蜜を置いて死んじゃ嫌です！お願いです！
Master, please wake up. Please don't die and leave me alone like this, please. Cough, cough, cough. But the second she latched herself onto Atone, Mitsu curled up in pain. By the way she coughed, this was a clearly dangerous act that would likely shorten her
ご
lifespan.
主人！
Master. Mitsu, on the verge of tears, placed her hand against Atone's cheek. Atone's skin was already becoming cold as a corpse. Though she didn't want to believe it, that one simple touch had made it clear that her master was going to lose her life.
名前。
Your name?
ご主人の名前呼びたいのにどうして思い出せないの？
I want to say Master's name, but why can't I remember it?
助けて誰か。
Someone please help me. Mitsu quietly began shedding tears, embracing her master's body as it grew even colder. The deeper Mitsu's despair was, the darker her vision became. It seemed that there wasn't much left for Mitsu's life. In that moment, as if pulling her consciousness from the depths, the door behind her slowly opened. She turned back in a slow and languid motion, but she couldn't see clearly due to the black light. As she blinked again and again, the figure's silhouette became clear. So it really was you. Strangely, the person glared at Mitsu almost accusatorily. In simple terms, they were in the black thread-woven nest of a blightfall, a pitch-dark space where not even a sliver of moonlight could shine in. Mitsu was curled up in the center, and she had turned back in a stilted motion. You are. Mitsu was nestled against the black cocoon as if protecting it. That cocoon was most likely a Tone. To my eyes, she seemed so shackled by the black threads that I couldn't even tell if she was human. That was how badly she was imprisoned by the emotional imprints. Without saying a word, both Kyuga and Yoichi approached silently. Their hands were placed firmly on the sheath of their swords. What is it? What do you plan to do to Master?
そちらが何もしなければ刀は抜かない。ただ、確かめたいことがあるのだ。
If you stay still, then we won't draw our swords. This is just something that we want to confirm. After he made his one-sided request, Kyuga forcefully grabbed Mitsu's left hand. When he did so, I could see that she still had the broken wood tablet tied to her wrist. The room was dark and I couldn't see clearly, but the wooden tablet appeared stained black like I had thought. Don't touch my tablet. Mitsu twisted to get away. But being caught by one hand, she was powerless. Kyuga took out the black piece of wood from earlier and matched it against the missing part of the wooden tablet. It was a perfect match. So then that means...
ミツ、お前が紙切りだったのか。
Mitsu, you were the Kamikiri. At Kyuga's quiet but clear accusation, Mitsu's eyes widened. I'm the Kamikiri? It was believed among the Onuaban that form folk were unable to become Blightfall. Normally, one would assume that the owner of the form folk was the corrupted tablet, Otone, would be the Kamikiri. But after Otone collapsed from her sickness, her neighbors testified that she hadn't set a single foot out of the house. In other words, there had been no way for her to even commit the crimes. If that was the case, it was natural to think that Mitsu herself was turning into a Blightfall. Mitsu, if you're really the Kamikiri, own up to your crimes. You could be the one causing Otone to be in such trouble. However, Mitsu didn't respond to our calls and merely lowered her head. A hair-rising tension filled the air. Even though we had defeated it once, we hadn't yet dealt the final blow. That was why Mitsu was here without any injuries, which means we can't say that there won't be another battle here. Time to think of it. But within the charged atmosphere, Mitsu slowly raised her head. Her expression was not the painful one of earlier, it was the brand new fresh, like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. I've been having these weird dreams lately.
夢と
Dreams?
人の髪を切る夢です。夜道を歩いている女性の背後に現れて、無理やり頭を押さえつけて。
I've been having these weird dreams. It's kind of strange that you guys are investigating someone who chops people's hairs off. I kept dreaming it, even before people started notifying me about it happening. A dream where I cut people's hair. I appear from behind women walking at night and I hold down their heads.
そんな夢を何度も見ていたんですが、
I've seen that dream so many times, but didn't think
現実だったんですね。
they were real. Mitsu seemed to have already acknowledged her guilt. Judging from her listless attitude, she didn't seem intent on fighting back.
私、主人が髪を切って落ち込んでしまってからずっと
After
考
Master
えていたんです。
cut her hair and became sad, I kept on thinking,
誰かの髪をもらって主人のためにカツラを作ることはできないか。
maybe I could take someone else's hair and make a wig for my
でも、
masters. It was love. She did
主
this for
人の
love.
そばを離れるわけにもいかないし、お金もないからどうすることもできなくて。
There was no way I could leave Master's side, and I didn't have money, so there was nothing I could
も
do.
しかして主人が病気なのは私のせいなのでしょうか。
Is it my fault that Master is sick?
私がいるから主人は。
She's literally smoking. Because I'm here, Master is. As her words continued to flow, emotional imprints slowly welled up from Mitsu's feet. Mitsu's emotion towards Atone were so strong that they had most likely turned her into a blightfall. As proof, the emotional imprints springing forth from her were tangling themselves obsessively around Atone.
道具を壊すしかないね。
No choice but to break the tool.
あの子の言う通りだよ。乙女さんを救うためにはミツ本人をどうにかするしかない。
It's like she said, to save Atone, we have to do something about Mitsu herself.
そのためには形人の弱点、元となる道具を壊すことでしか解決できないんじゃない。
To do that, we gotta break the form folk's weak point, the tool that was used that she's made from. The way I see it, that's the only way.
形人が酔いかかした際は、どうやら面を切るだけでは倒せないようだしな。
Apparently, when a form folk become a blightfall, breaking their mask alone doesn't seem to do the trick.
お前も先ほどの戦いを見ていただろう。髪切りは最後、空気へ溶け込むように消えてしまった。つまり、
Or it just means that she's forming this monster when she's sleeping. You saw it in the battle earlier, didn't you? In the end, the Kamakiri vanished into air, which means we have to do something about the main body.
これ以上被害が拡大する前に処分してしまった方がいい。
It would be best to exterminate her before more people are hurt.
ミツ、あんたもそれでいいでしょ。
Mitsu, you're okay with that, right?
私は。
Mitsu glanced at Atone next to her. It was too dark for me to see anything, but I guess that she was able to see the face of her bedridden master. After she caressed Atone with a quivering hand, Mitsu raised her head as if she made up her
わ
mind.
かりました。すべてを受け入れます。
I understand. I'll accept everything. Mitsu gently took out a box from her inner pocket and opened it. It appeared to be a sewing supplies. Inside was threads, a pin cushion, and a pair of thread-cutting scissors with emotional imprints attached
こ
to
の
it.
糸切りばさみが私の元の道具です。主人を守るために。
She was created by a pair of
どうか私を
scissors,
処分
and
して
she was
ください。
having dreams that she was cutting people's hair. Dang. This pair of scissors is the tool I was made from. Please protect my master and exterminate me. The weight of the crime she committed, as well as her desire to protect Atone, seemed to have made her willing to accept her death. There was no hesitation in Mitsu's face. Wait a second. But then I hurriedly barged in between the two. And in Kyuga's place, I took the pair of scissors.
何をする？
Leo, what are you doing? It's true. If we exterminate Mitsu, then this case is solved. The Kamakiri will never appear again. But will Atone be happy with that?
なんだと？
What? Atone seemed to really care for Mitsu. Even if her sickness is cured, I think she'll be sad if Mitsu isn't here. Upon hearing that, a complex look came over Mitsu's face. In her heart of hearts, she must have not wanted to say farewell to Otone. She had only accepted it because there was no other way. Is there not another way,
そり
though?
ゃそうだろうけど、そんなこと言ってる場合じゃないでしょ。
That's probably true, but now's not the time to be saying that.
それとも何か別の方法があるのか？
Unless you have some other idea. Could you let me try something just once?
何をだ？
Try what? The snow sacrament. I said no! Snow! But the two of them widened their eyes just a little. My answer was probably beyond their
何度言えばわ
expectations.
かるんだ。注ぎは相手を滅することしかできない。良いかとなったものを救うことなんて不可能だ。
How many times do I have to tell you that the snow sacrament can only destroy its target? It's impossible to save someone who becomes a blight ball. The no in the snow. I can't. Oh, man, they hadn't said snow in so long. I let my guard down. That's true for a vessel, but there's a chance that a snow sacrament conducted by a human by a member of the Hakuseki clan could be different. When I used it on someone who wasn't a Blightfall or Mimi, it was a failure, but what about using it directly on a Blightfall themselves? Please, I'm asking you to let me try it. Kyuki and Yoichi looked at each other with troubled expressions.
まあ、試すぐらいいいんじゃない？
I mean, it's worth a shot.
そうだな。白石の力を見極めるためにも一度やらせてみよう。
We'll call it an opportunity to assess her Hakuseki power. Let's have her try it out. They nodded to each other as if convinced, and then both Yoichi and Kyuga took a step back. It's alright. Please leave it to me. She wasn't able to follow the conversation. I clutched the scissors in front of Mitsu, who was still spawning emotional imprints. I placed my other hand onto my chest in order to sort through my own thoughts. When everyone does the snow sacrament, it looks like they imbue power into the blade and use it to cut through stuff. But I'm not doing this to hurt anyone, it's to save them. In that case, my snow sacrament should be... My determination was firm. In the same position, I closed my eyes and started a prayer in my mind. When it came to praying, I'd done it the entire time I was living in my village. At the time, I was only able to think about what was happening to myself, but it's different now. Ever since I arrived in Edo, I'd had so many new encounters. I learned that there were so many people living in this world, and that I was living with them too. So now I can pray for others from the bottom of my heart. I pray that Mitsu and Otone can get better, that the two of them can continue to live peacefully from now on. The sins that the Kamakiri committed may never be forgivable. It's hair, it grows back, nobody died. But even so, I thought it was wrong that she would have to pay for it with her own life. Then, in that moment, the palms of my hands housed a gentle heat. Ooh. When I opened my eyes in surprise at the warmth, light shone out from my hands. This is what I'm going to do to Otaro, who's definitely a Blightfall. Am I going to save his life? Mm-hmm.
これは
This is...
嘘でしょ。
No way. It's why it's called Winter's Wish. Get it? Because her power is by wishing. As the light grew stronger, the emotional imprints that covered the entire room evaporated as if melting away into the air. They were then cleanly swept away not only from Mitsu herself, but from Otone's body as well. Mitsu? Oh man, that's depressing. Okay, after the emotional imprints had fully disappeared, Otone quietly mumbled. Though she was blinking heavily, her eyes were clearly focused on Mitsu.
ご主人、どう
Master?
したのミツ？そんな不安そうな顔して。
What's the matter, Mitsu? You look so worried. Otone gently stroked Mitsu's head, as if she was cherishing a valuable treasure.
ご主人。
Master? As she did, so too did tears start to well up in Mitsu's eyes. She was finally able to accept the reality in front of her. Her expression was full of relief.
なんでそんな他人行儀な呼び方なの？いつもみたいに音ねって呼
Why are
ん
you
でよ。
acting so polite? Call me Atone like you always do. Atone?
そうよミツ、私たち家族じゃない。
That's right, Mitsu. We're family, remember? Atone. And then the two went on to hug tightly. Not a single emotional imprint was left on the scissors that were in my hands. Seeing as the emotional imprints had disappeared from the room, it seemed that Atone's sickness really was being caused by Mitsu turning into a blightfall.
今のは注ぎだね。
That was the snow sacrament just now.
まさかこんな形で発動するとは。
To think that it would activate in such a way. Yoichi and Kyugo watched the sight, their eyes sparkling with astonishment. And that was how the Kamakiri case was peacefully resolved. Peaceful. So peaceful. The Kamakiri, that was the name of the street slasher that would cut off the hair of women walking alone at night. There were numerous victims. One day the culprit vanished, never to be seen again. Some said that one of the shogun samurais defeated it. Others said that after collecting its bounty of hair, the monster was sacrificed and moved on to the afterlife. Luckily, the victims all would recover immediately, and so the citizens of Edo gradually came to forget that the incident ever happened. Indeed, peace had finally returned to Edo. For now.
はい、お待たせしました。当店名物のこし茶とお団子よ。
All right, thank you for waiting. Here's our store specialty for you, Saive tea and dango. As usual, the tea stall poster girl cheery voice sounded out in the air. But unusually, there was only a single group of customers in the store, and that reason was we're having a party.
今日はこっちのおごりだから好きなだけ頼んでね。じゃんじゃんお菓子もお茶も持ってくるわよ。
It's so cute. Oh, look, the little birdie's there too. Dang, I would love dango right now. That sounds delicious. I haven't had dango in so long. Today's on me, so order as much as you like. I'll bring you lots of snacks and tea.
ありがたく頂戴しよ
Thank you for the food.
よいち、こっちのお団子かなり美味しいよ。食べるかい？
Yoichi, the dango here's pretty delicious. Want to try some?
うん
Nom 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 nom. I don't like the sound of eating. I'm gonna pass on that one. He's already shoving it into his face. He's got 7 skewers all by himself, and I'm over here feeding a bird. We're holding a party celebrating Mimi's full recovery. On top of the full reservation just for us, the tea stall was covering all of the expenses as a show of gratitude for solving the case.
何？あんたもこの団子食べたいの？
Did you want the dango too? I'm not that greedy for food, okay? Right, come on, mate. We just want to gracefully enjoy our tea. Kamame, however, was rapidly pecking at the rice in her hand. Come on, Kamame.
へえ、おしとやか。
Graceful, huh?
こまめちゃんもお米たくさん用意したから遠慮なく食べてね。
Kamame, I prepared lots of rice, so don't be modest and eat your fill. Chirp, chirp. The adults next to us, Kyuga and Miyagi, were calmly enjoying their tea.
やはりこの店の茶はうまいな。
The tea in the store is really delicious.
初めて来たけど、なかなかだね。今度妻と娘も誘ってこようかな。
This is my first time here, but it's really something. I should invite my wife and daughter next
それ
time.
にしても、事件も無事に解決したようで、よかったよかった。殿も満足してくれたよ。
In any case, I'm so glad that the case was solved without any problems. The shogun was pleased as well. So what happened to Mitsu and Atone? A number of months had passed. A number of months? Why? How long does it take her to get better? A number of months had passed since then, but they still hadn't decided on what to do with Mitsu. It was something that had always bothered me, so I took the chance to ask.
ああ、
彼女たちね。
Oh, those
罰と
girls.
してこれからずっと事件現場の掃除をしてもらうことにしたよ。ちゃんと賃金も出る形でね。
As punishment, we decide to have the two clean up the crime scenes indefinitely. They'll be paid, of course. Which
つつま
means
しく暮らしていく分には何の問題もないだろうね。
they'll probably be able to live modestly for the foreseeable future. Basically, we helped get her out of debt, which was what caused her to cut her hair in the first place, which caused her form folk friend to lose her mind. I'm so glad. In other words, the Shogunate had saved Otone and Mitsu under the guise of punishing them. Where they had to sell their own hair to survive before, their lives would now be much more stable.
それにしても本当に驚いたわ。まさかあなたたちが幕府の下で働いていたなんて。
Speaking of, I was surprised to think that Leah was working for the Shogunate. Ah, I'm sorry, Mimi. We couldn't immediately tell you the truth.
いいのよ。だって秘密のお仕事なんでしょ。
Oh, it's fine. After all, it's a secret
でも
job.
よかった。ちゃんとお仕事が見つかってて。よくわからない稽古とかしてたし、ちょっとだけ心配していたのよ。
I'm glad you found proper work. You had me worried when you were doing that weird training. Yeah, sorry. At the time, we managed to convince her with a heavy-handed explanation. Normally, you'd be worried if your unemployed sister was undergoing
あ
training.
とは、余一も意外だったわね。いつも遊んでいるだけだと思ってたのに、そんなすごいことやってたなんて。
Plus, I was surprised to hear about Yoichi all this time. I thought you spent your time playing, but now I hear that you were doing such amazing
久我さんは
things.
もともとお侍さんだし真面目だからそんなに違和感はなかったけど。
Kyuga was always a samurai and a serious person, so it didn't feel too out of place.
まあね、仕事は仕事だし。
Well, yeah, work is work.
しかし今回お前はよく働いてくれた。まさか良い顔を元に戻せるとは。お庭番の歴史でも初めてのことではないか。
I have to say, Leah did a fine job this time. To think that you could return a Blightfall to normal. This might even be the first in Onuaban history.
おとりをしていた時の動きも良かった。今後もお前には活躍してもらうことになりそうだな。
You moved very well as bait too. I bet we'll be seeing more of that in the future. Ha! Yeah, I'll do my best. You said it so casually, but I couldn't help but feel embarrassed at Kyuga's words. I'm worried about a lot of things during my time in the Onuaban, so the straightforward praise made me ecstatic. But I received lots of praise because Yoichi trained me in the first place. I should show him my appreciation again. Once I reconfirmed those feelings, I once again faced Yoichi, who was still chewing on his dango. Yoichi, I want to thank you for training me in martial arts. Thanks to you, I was able to manage. But all Yoichi did was glance at me before he silently continued eating his dango. As expected, it was difficult to have a normal conversation with Yoichi. But I was able to convey my feelings, and that's all that counts, right?
まあ、及第点ってところじゃないの。
Let's call it a passing grade. Huh. But right when I was about to give up, I heard a mutter that sounded like he was talking to himself. Baffled, I turned around and Yoichi was staring right at me, albeit in an annoyed
今後もそ
manner.
の調子で頑張れば。
Let's see if you can keep it up. Right. I never even thought that I'd hear such a clear words from Yoichi. Kyuga and Yoichi both accepted me as one of them. I was overcome with happiness. As I basked in my joy, I noticed that everyone around me was watching me with kind eyes. I'm sorry, I was being so nosy all by
い
myself.
やいや、い
Noisy.
いんだよ。君がうちに馴染んでくれて、こちらとしても一安心さ。
No, it's fine. It makes me feel much more relaxed knowing that you seem to be fitting in well, Leah.
そうそう。あなたが楽しそうなら私も嬉しいわ。
That's right. I'm happy as long as you're having fun. Mimi.
ミハル、新しいお茶が入ったから持って行っておくれ。
Miharu, bring over the new tea that just came in.
あ、はーい。
Okay. Mimi took the tray she had in her hand and returned to the back of the store. After we saw her off, Miyagi leaned towards us a little. Did he have something he wanted to talk about?
しかし、形人が良いかになるなんて、 長い間お庭番を続けているけど、初めて聞いたな。
I've been in the Oniwa bond for a long time, and this is the first time I've heard of Formfolk becoming Blightfall.
そうですね。これまで形人には良いかになる要因がないと言われていたが。
It's been said up to this point that Formfolk have no reason to become Blightfall, but maybe Mitsu was just special.
いや、そうとは限らないでしょう。あの人どっからどう見ても普通の形人じゃん。
Not necessarily, no matter how you look at her, she was just a normal Formfolk.
もしかしたら何者かが暗躍しているのかもしれないね。形人も良いかになるようにしているやつが。
I wonder who that could be. Okay, well, if he's following me around, then I can accept that the incidents change depending on where I'm at, because he's basing off what he can manage. Okay, Otaro, you get a pass. Perhaps there's someone operating behind the scenes, someone even capable of turning Formfolk into Blightfall. Someone like that? Like the opposite of you.
とにかく今後も注意して任務に取り組んでくれ。くれぐれも油断だけはしないように。
Anyways, in the future, proceed on your mission with caution. Make sure that you don't let your guard down. We nodded firmly at Miyagi's words. Oh yeah, Yoichi route! It started! Well, we're not doing his route, but... I hit the button. Oh no, I hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong button. Alright, so we're gonna save his. His gets saved here. And now we're going to load this one. I'm just doing what I can. I thought about it, what I should do in order to save Mimi, what I should do to prevent any more victims. And naturally, this is the method that I came up with. That's all there is to it. Don't look back at the past, but rather think about what must be done now. It was because of Kyuga's advice that I was able to come up with this plan. Perhaps because Hyuga knew this too, he stared at me with a serious expression. I slowly let out a breath in order to make my final point. Alright, did I do it? Did I go far enough? My husband Yoichi, I will see you after Kyuga's route. I'm so sorry. Again, I was just getting to the route, so... We nodded at Miyagi's words, and... Kyuga's route! Look at me unlocking routes like a magic person. That's what I meant to do last time, and instead I hit the wrong button. Alright, I'm gonna save his too. It's almost been 3 hours, so I'm actually gonna take a break because my stomach has been growling, and I'm going to eat something, and then I'll come back and play more, probably in about an hour or so. But we got it! We got both their routes started now, which means it'll make it a lot faster when I switch from Kyuga to Yoichi, because we already have his route ready to go. Yay! I did a magic trick. It wasn't really magical. I just did basic stuff. But thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you guys in about an hour for the continuation. We're going to do Kyuga stuff. I also am going to chat with my friends, because it turns out I might be playing Lethal Company tomorrow instead of Winter's Wish, because they all plan to play with Lethal Company tomorrow, and I was like, oh, but I'm working in the afternoon, so I can't play in the afternoon, so we might play in the morning. Or we might not play at all. Who knows? We'll see. I have to download all the fun new mods, though, because there's one where the Mimic talks now, and that sounds scary. I find this story kind of interesting, speaking of the story, since this is what we're on right now. Just because each route has its own little solved mystery cases, and then you get into the routes and see more stuff. I'm curious if each route has their own monsters. Like if I go with Kyuga, is it going to be the same thing in Yoichi's route? Because usually they overlap a little bit. I'm just not sure if they will. And we're going to find out. But we'll continue Kyuga's story later today. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for stopping in, Asia, Sleazy, Unis, all my friends for stopping in. Thank you very much. I will see you guys later. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube and you'd like to see my newer stuff, you can visit me on Twitch. I keep forgetting to mention that. And if you're watching this on Twitch and you want to see my older stuff, I upload all my videos onto YouTube. Thank you so much. Bye.